40-hour episode, dude.
I was talking about wieners.
Calling sick to work and just be like,
there's got to be a
last
record.
night was a long one.
Look at that square.
What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again, episode 148. I don't know what square you were talking about.
No, I have my
every time.
No, I don't. I have a plugin on my my browser, and it just had a big square over your belt buckle. And so I was like, "What the fuck is he hiding from his belt buckle? What's going on there?" And then like the next frame came and it was still there, and I was like, "What the fuck's up with that square, dude?" And then
on your screen,
because I have to darken my screen, so if I don't, it does this. I'm just like, "Fucking, what's up, bro?"
Yo, what I need to ask is if Casey's eating a banana just because that's what he did last time, or does he do this every time? Because we were hanging out for like 5-10 minutes before this goes live.
Nah, dude,
I do it every episode.
It's just for you, dude. You literally are the only banana episode.
It's a test, dude.
Well, it's funny, like we're about to do the
Oh my
episode, and
God.
Anthony's like, "Do you have a banana?" And I was like, "Actually, I didn't know you knew that. Yeah, I have one." So I was like,
Damn.
I saw it sitting over there by our little banana rack we have in the kitchen, but it was like the last one that's like hanging on by, you know, like the lonely banana that's like rotting and needs to get eaten like before.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you guys do with the lonely banana? Do you guys just like it
Can't
depends on
hang it.
how many brown spots though, right?
I power through it, dude.
I'll eat it till it's like
unless it's
bad.
fucking
A little soft,
disgusting.
Yeah,
Guys,
do it.
we gotta focus.
all right.
Cameron,
Sure.
yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
back.
I'm Anthony Trapani. I'm your host. This is Cali Death Podcast. It's episode 148. I'm always here with a couple of resident homies. Everybody's taking a drink. I need to take one too.
Oh, Tiki.
Joel Horner and Casey Howard are joining me as always. What up, y'all?
Hi.
The resident homies. Joseph will be
Yeah,
back
how's it
very
going?
soon. And then we got
Man,
Cameron Argon with us for part 2 tonight, guys. We're
back.
very
what's going
excited
on?
about this.
Shout out Cali Death Podcast.
Hell
Thanks for
yeah,
having me
brother.
back.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, it's great to have you back, dude. And we'll get into tons of fun as soon as we do the plugs real quick. Let's do those real quick. Real quick. I never ever mentioned Twitch. I never ever mentioned YouTube. Like, you guys can enjoy this live if you come to twitch.tv/Cali Death Podcast, and you can interact with us. I already see some of you guys in the chat. I can't read it because I don't have my glasses
Yeah.
on, but I see you guys are
Shout
going.
out,
All right,
Shout out
I
Joey
said
Deere.
Twiff.
shout
Twiff.
out Sebastian Blade.
It's like
Shout out.
fucking. It's Tyson. All
I
right,
gotta plug that intro. That's like I always forget like what we're doing here, and then like, all right, let's start the show. Like, this is like sick death metal starts playing. I'm like, this show's awesome.
You actually bring that up too. That's one other thing that I should plug more because you know, I sometimes check out comments on YouTube just to see what people are saying, and a lot of people ask about that intro. And even
That's
though
awesome.
at the end of the intro, if you're watching the video, he gets his credit, Christopher Beatty.
Oh, yeah.
How are we supposed? He's the Beatle. He's just our Beatle, but I'm supposed to be saying it different. Beatty. Is that how he says it?
Yeah. Dreamer.
But
Yeah,
he's in Dreamer. He's in the Zenith Passage now. He's the
Oh, no way.
yeah. So when we started this, he was
right. Crispy Cream.
affiliated with Joseph. Joseph and him were working in Dreamer a long time ago, and how everything happened with this show, how it just kind of all fell into place. We had this sick fucking intro that just came to us from Christopher and Joseph, and it wasn't like, oh, you need to change this riff, or maybe we should do that. It was like, that's the fucking intro right there.
Yeah, we were like,
yeah.
we need like an intro, and then Joseph's like, I got a friend who could like do a cool song, and we're like, okay, we'll see. Then maybe we'll like compare it to some others and choose or something, And we didn't even know him at all. And then like he like showed us the song, and we were just like, this is perfect. This is great. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like
It
I
hits
don't
so
know if you
hard.
could do better.
first try.
It hits hard,
Yeah.
and it also like encapsulates like the Cali Death vibe.
That's what he did on purpose. That's how fucking talented that kid is. He's like,
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna do a song
exactly.
that has
Yeah,
like
he
a
knows
bunch
his
of the
plan.
Cali Death influences all in one song for you guys. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Perfect. dude.
I'd like to say, so on my YouTube channel, that I've had for a little while, it's can I like fucking share? How do I present? Okay, that's what it is on here. So can you guys at least, I don't have to play it, but you can see.
oh, the Dreamer footage you have?
Here we go. Will this work? Do you see that?
Nope.
I can do it now.
You don't,
Oh,
you don't
I
see
see
it?
Oh.
There it is.
Do you
Hell
see
yeah.
this?
It's
You guys see
a little
that?
choppy. It's choppy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's going.
Okay, cool. Anyways, there's a video on my YouTube channel.
There he is. Perfect.
There he
Perfect
is.
way
Yeah,
to
it's
pause it right there. Wait, now
Oh,
go
yeah.
back.
Scroll up.
We always pause it on a
There you
funny
go.
smile from that man.
Exactly.
There's all
There
he
you
got.
go.
Even on when he comes on the show, he freezes in that face right there.
Yeah.
So that just happened. Y'all just
Yeah.
did this.
Yep. That was in
Let's watch it.
kind of LA-ish, like Orange County-ish.
Yeah, click play for a second.
All right,
Oh,
let's,
yeah.
let's
Or-
all
or
shut
skip-
up though,
skip-
because
skip-
the
skip.
sound always gets shitty.
Skip randomly.
I can make up the. We just jumped 25 minutes in. Damn, so this is you, Casey, like 2 weeks ago?
It was in filming.
Oh, okay.
I was just like this.
Is this guy from California?
Oh yeah, it's from LA area.
I'm all,
Oh, the video's freezing. There it is.
The whole vibe of the band and the location gives me a big California vibe. You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah.
Like the band. That guy.
Joseph, the professor on the drums.
Hell yeah.
And that's why he's the sexy man right
The Shrouder.
Bands today are so good.
Shout out Ricky.
I know, it's fucked up. It pisses me off a little bit.
You know, wait. All right.
Yeah.
Pause,
All right, yeah,
pause.
we're good.
You know, I've been thinking about this like a week ago. You know how skateboarding just kind of
Same
progressively
thing.
gets
It's
better?
the same thing. Same fucking thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Kids
like
are just
with death
shredding
metal.
everyone now. You're like, I don't want to call Chris Beat a kid, but he's in his early 20s, and he's like the the
He's
guy that
called-
does the crazy trick with the nose grind that like that you never seen before, and he's like 14 years old, and you're like, what the fuck? He's in the X Games shredding all the pros, like, and I've talked about it multiple times. I think it's like them they had influences before that were like the craziest thing, and then they were born at a certain time where the craziest thing has already happened a million times, and they're taking it from like the 7th craziest thing, and then they're doing it like and taking it to the 9th craziest thing. It's like,
Yeah. Well, it's like
And
that like 5-minute mile. Like no one thought it was possible, and then as soon as someone does it, everyone can just do it.
Right.
yeah,
It's like the
yeah.
same thing as skateboarding. Someone does some kind of trick, and someone grows up and sees it. It's way easier to do it if you've seen someone else do it versus being like, I'm just gonna do this the
Dude,
first
there's a-
time type of
There's an
thing.
LA
Definitely,
rapper.
definitely.
There's an LA rapper named Merce who did a 24-hour freestyle, and 2 weeks later, some dude beat it
Yeah,
just because he saw Merce do it.
That's
first.
brutal.
I know.
But was he sober though?
Yeah, just
But
do
it's
some
what-
math
that's what
and
it
be like,
is.
dude, I did the
Maybe, that'd be
92-hour
insane.
fucking.
We all
Yeah.
have ideas, but once we see that it's actually possible, then it becomes you it's that classic setting the bar higher type deal. Once it's higher and you see
Yeah.
that something is still possible, then you're going to try and see what isn't possible, and we keep
Trying to
sounds like
stand out
some
for the pack.
screwed up Soviet experiment where they just like make you
Soviet.
hallucinate. Yeah, let's see how crazy these rhymes get when this dude's about to die from sleep deprivation.
yeah,
Pretty
let's
cool.
see who could
Oh,
freestyle himself to death, dude. That would be crazy,
Yeah.
bro. He's like at 47 hours and he just fucking has a cardiac arrest and just dies on camera.
it's like GG Allin, like a GG Allin, like freestyler. He's like, whatever, dude. I'm just gonna do heroin until I die. Freestyling. I don't know. Someone's gonna like
GG
try to
Allin's
do
weird
like
'cause
a
didn't he
weird
die at a
thing.
party after a show? Everybody used to think he killed himself on stage.
No, that's what he wanted to do. He didn't do it.
yeah,
GG
that
Allin
was.
died.
Yeah, he died. He died.
Oh yeah.
And he went to like a party after a show and
Pretty quickly,
and
actually. This was last
OD'd,
month.
Yeah.
and people were taking pictures with him while he was already dead, and they didn't know. They just thought he passed out.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was like his whole like thing. He was like preaching was like, I'm gonna die on stage, and so people were like going to the shows, going like, if it's the one that he does it, that'll be cool that I'm here, kind of thing. And then he just like heroin overdosed on his own. And then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just by
It's like-
himself.
yeah, boring. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Boring as fuck. I'm just kidding.
He was alone.
Damn.
Cali
Yeah,
podcast.bigcartel.com is where you can
Yeah.
get any of these t-shirts. Got a couple
Man,
for
we're
you.
yeah.
about to
Um,
be
Coming up
haunted by the
Generator.
Sorry.
Wait,
Hey, hold on, let's
generator.
go back to the shirts. I slipped my finger.
Boom.
I missed
Big
that.
Cartel. CaliDeathPodcast.bigcartel.com. That's where you buy clothes that have our logo, and you can put them on your body. And then what else? GeneratorRehearsalStudios.com is where you can go rehearse in SoCal.
Oceanside, California.
There
classic,
it is.
The area.
classic SoCal death metal city. No,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. The
Hell
crazy.
yeah.
There's so many.
It really
actually,
is.
There are some death metal bands out here though. It's cool.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, San Diego, but some come to practice there. Like, they did that
Yeah.
live stream with Paroxysmal Butchering recently and some other bands and stuff.
I think when I was with Burning the Masses, they practiced out of Oceanside.
Really?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I keep
Crazy.
forgetting you were in Burning the Masses. So you sang
Oh,
or play guitar or
Vocalist.
vocalist?
Yeah, I sang.
Yeah.
I did
Okay.
their second album.
Okay. Did you ever tour with them?
Yeah, I did one tour with them in Europe.
Okay. Okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know Carrie, son of Aurelius, toured with Burning the Masses, and we met up with them randomly. But yeah, they were like, isn't that one guy in Entheos now? One of the guys or something? I don't even know.
Chasen just joined
Chasen.
Brand of Sacrifice.
Oh,
But
Chasen.
he's drummed on like
Christ.
everything. He's
a freak of nature.
yeah.
I know.
He's
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
seriously
Had him on
one of
the show.
the best death metal drummers
Totally.
ever.
I agree.
He's so
Oh, yeah.
he's so crazy.
And shout out to Dan Kenny. He was like they were looking for a drummer low key at the time, and I was like, check out this kid. And then Jason put together a full fucking jam thing for him, and then they're like, and then he sent it like 5 days later, and he's like, oh, we already got someone. I was like,
Who is
fucking Dan
this?
Kenny. Suicide Silence. I was trying to get him in Suicide Silence because like he was like looking for a gig, and I was like, well, Dan just hit me up, and they're looking. I can talk about it now because they already picked someone. But
Yeah.
at the time, like I was like, dude, fucking add that drumming to them. That'd be sick. Like add
Yeah,
your like crazy drumming to Suicide Silence and spice that shit up with the drumming and stuff. And he sent it, and then Dan was like, it's super sick, but like we just found someone. And I'm like, motherfucker, why did you have
Shout
me
out
do all
Dan
this?
Kenny.
I know.
Yeah.
He actually just messaged me a while ago, something funny, but yeah, that's
Shout
that
out
was kind
Ernie
of-
too.
yeah. Ernie's sick too. I saw them
Yeah.
with Dying Fetus and stuff. It was great. But anyways,
Hell
yeah, Jason's I watched a bunch of videos of my friends in Sacramento that are drummers and stuff, and watching him play, and they're just sitting there just going like, fuck you. Like they're all like mad. Like the
Yeah.
whole time.
I've been a fan of Chasen's drumming. Back in the day, on MySpace. MySpace was the best. Like you
Oh,
could
yeah,
have
it
just
was.
like
Yeah,
one
I know.
YouTube video or something,
Totally.
and they had a
was,
YouTube
dude.
video of Jason practicing back in the day, and I was just like, you could just tell right away that. I mean, I think he comes from a musical family. I think his dad is like some.
Yeah. I think so.
We've had him on,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we
we've
had Jason
Jason
on. Yeah.
and we've had Robert on from Entheos. That's where you're making the
Was
Yeah, what's
Robert on
Robert's
the
last
Jason
name
and
again?
Robert were on
Brown,
at
is it?
on the same episode.
Yeah, Robert Brown.
Yeah.
You remember?
Robert's
You
cool.
got to go back into our history, Joel. And Joel's like, I don't remember.
Oh, it's a
that."
lot.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
There's a few episodes.
He was
we've done.
talking
There-
about, didn't his dad play on Ghost of the Universe with him or something? Or wasn't he on that? Or maybe I'm tripping
Oh,
on that.
maybe, yeah.
Or I don't know. I can't remember.
Dude,
but I get it mixed
148
up.
episodes in. We've done
that
around 3
project is
hours
sick.
per episode. It's so
Yeah.
crazy to try and
I remember like
remember it all.
30 episodes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
well,
Cameron helped
yeah.
me with this last one. I mean, like he said one thing, talking about like his internet connection or something, and then my brain went back to like, oh yeah, wasn't there like a party behind you? And like, wasn't like I just need like
I don't
that
remember
one
that.
little.
Yeah.
I need like one little like help step, and all of a sudden it's kind of like playing an old song again. Where you're like, I don't know how to play this. Like, oh shit, it keeps coming to me, and it just keeps
yeah.
flowing out of me.
Well,
All the memories.
you're
come.
not supposed to have like a crazy memory. Like part of the purpose of a good night's sleep is to help you forget about all this stupid shit, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're overloaded with every detail of your life, you would go insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
So
Got
when I
it.
forget things, I'm like, good. Like,
Good. I was meant to.
It's mental health. It's like, oh, you gotta just let it go sometimes, you know.
yeah,
Whatever.
I'm sleeping good.
Well, it's funny how we all remember. I mean, it makes sense, but we all remember certain like different things of similar times, you know, like touring times or whatever. Like, oh, I remember this, and I don't. What you remember that, or like things I don't remember and stuff.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
all,
Oh,
it's all
yeah.
about like it's basically like think of it as like a computer, like okay, like you don't remember, it's all like stored away in the back of your brain, like in the back, like fucking backup. But then like you open one file and then it has some other files like, oh yeah, and then that happened, and then that happened. Then you can go down that rabbit hole. But like to just bring it out of nowhere is like impossible. Like as far with
Right.
how much fucking memories you have at this age, it's like you have to like have something kind of
Yeah.
jog things, and then you're like, oh yeah, this, and I have a smell, and you're like all of a sudden like, oh yeah, that one smelly dude in fucking 7th grade. You know, like
Yeah.
things will
Well,
just come out, you know, through like smells or.
Speaking
Or
of smells,
the
Anthony,
most.
who you got over there?
I got a nice smelling
Speaking of
man with a
smells.
pack of Welch's fruits.
Get outta
I mean,
Hi. Hello.
Hi,
All
Mike
right.
Gilbert. How's it
Hi,
going?
guys. Good to see you all.
Hell
I brought
yeah.
myself a glass of really nice bourbon.
Ooh.
Oh, I just bought my dad a.
what is it?
I don't know what it's
$300
called.
bottle.
A friend gave it to me as a gift, and
Have you ever had
it's delicious. No.
Oh man.
So I brought myself
Blanton's?
some bourbon, and then I brought Anthony a pack of some fruit snack.
Fruit snacks. Yeah.
on me.
Don't
Fruit
let
snacks.
his blood sugar get too low.
Munchies.
And, this is literally, I'm gonna say it again. I just say it every time that I see Mike. It's my favorite guitar player in death metal, right there, by
yeah.
far. It's by far.
Yep.
Mike's gnarly, dude. Yeah.
So
he's
he hates it every
machine.
time. He's one of those
Yeah.
guys.
That's
For all you
awesome.
listeners who don't know, Mike Gilbert's the guitar player of one of my bands, Severed Savior,
It's one of his bands. Fuck you, dude.
and will be going on tour with Cynic in Europe next
Oh yeah,
year.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
right.
Mike's
Ooh.
playing guitar with
That's
Cynic.
gonna be great.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are we allowed to say that? We're allowed to say that, right?
We are allowed to say
Yeah,
it.
we've already
Okay,
said
okay,
it.
That's
Yeah.
why I'll say it all the time now.
This isn't the first
Happened,
time.
dude. Okay, we're coming up. Okay, I'm sorry, Cameron. We're not getting.
Yeah, let's get into the
right now,
camera.
but
I
We'll get
listened
into
to
it,
that
but
full
hold-
I listened to that full
Anthony
new album
was-
today. It was
You,
awesome.
Anthony was
we're-
going to say something big.
I was
about
just
that.
going to say real quick.
40-hour
We're
podcast.
coming up on our 3-year anniversary episode.
That's
and
right. Yep.
We are kind of late to planning it, but we're going to have a
Well,
fun one. It's coming up soon.
In
and
2 weeks, October
2
5th
weeks.
is going to be our 3rd year episode 150. So we're doing 50 a
150
year,
episodes.
basically, is how we're kind of doing it.
150
and
3 years.
50 episodes ago is
Yeah,
50 a year.
150.
You mean.
Yeah, 50 a year. So 150 is our 3rd
So we
year
skip 5
anniversary.
weeks every year. Okay, that's not bad.
Is it 5
Yeah.
I
weeks?
mean, I think that sounds good. Like you guys are organized. Like you have a day, you do it every week.
Yeah.
And you just guess and
Well, sometimes we just
Yeah.
shit them out, you know, like we're just up here like
It's like an addiction kind of. We're like, dude,
Yeah.
what's gonna like? It's like Tuesday comes, like, who's gonna be the guest? What's
yeah, totally.
we have like a whole list of everything, and we're like, we have no idea because it's just a Thursday.
But
We're like,
usually one of us is gone, you know, because we're just like we're just keeping it going. But I mean, shout out to honestly, like I mean, I was gone for a couple weeks. Like Anthony and Joel, man, you guys really keep this pumping, especially Anthony because he's on every
Anthony does it.
episode.
Anthony
So
will
shout
show up
out
like
to Anthony.
Anthony will like literally show up to a fucking like a episode like from Disneyland with like
I
his
did
whole
an
family and
episode from
screaming and shit.
Disneyland, dude.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I was already like, that was probably one of the worst episodes for me because
Yeah.
I found out that I had to host it about a minute and a half after coming from a nap. And I was like, where's Anthony, dude? I was like texting, where the fuck are you, dude? What's going on? And like Casey's like, just go live, dude. And I'm like, I don't even know the guest. I have no idea who this person is.
yeah, that was
And I was
funny.
like-
dude. It was like you and me, right?
I was like,
Wasn't
it
it
was
just-
yeah, it was you and me, and it was like he was actually very interesting. The robot band guy, that's the robot
Oh
bands.
yeah.
And I was like, I had
Captured
never heard of him, and I was like,
Yeah.
sick, dude. I gotta like freestyle
Captured
this, and
by
I just woke up from
robots.
like a nap. Like this is a nightmare, and I was like pissed. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck you, Ant. I was like so mad.
I thought
Then
Anthony
Anthony
was
comes
gonna
on,
be
he's
on
all
it.
from
I
Disneyland.
fucking
He's all
told
Yeah.
you in the chat. You just
No,
don't
it's
fucking
fine.
pay
It's
attention.
fine.
no, you
but
told me like
whatever.
3 weeks before, but I woke up from a nap
Yeah,
and was
I
like,
get it.
that's another week. Where's Anthony? What's going on? I like forgot, you know. I
Yeah.
totally forgot. But anyways, let's get
No,
to
That
the
is
fucking
so
episode
funny.
though. Let's get to the goddamn episode because me and Anthony have a lot to talk about, and Casey too. Like, I mean, I listened
Yeah.
to your full album today. Me and Anthony texted about it earlier, but because Anthony texted me like, you gotta listen to fucking The Brutal Machine.
Cameron knows, dude. Cameron
Yeah, you
knows
gotta
how
listen
much-
to it. And I was like, all right, well, I begrudgingly, I'm still have that little bit of like an asshole metalhead in me. It's like, whatever, bro, like kind of thing, you know, going. And I was like working, and I was like, you know what, I got time to throw it on. And
It's the best time to listen to it.
I know, and I fucking listened to the whole thing front to back because it vibed just perfectly with my. It had the mellowness and the hardness that I wanted in a band to not like take my attention off everything, where I could still work and still groove. So I was like really confused by this, and I actually hit up Anthony and was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "You're right. Like, what the fuck? Fuck you, dude. You're right. Fuck you." But no, but I was very impressed with the. I don't even know how to really classify the album as far as I felt like Enya vibes in there. I felt black metal vibes in there. I felt like death
Enya.
metal vibes. There's like, yeah, I swear to God, there's like a
Oh
calm
man, I gotta
Enya
listen to
thing
this.
going on.
I haven't heard it yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was like
Dude.
sitting there just like I was comfortable, and I was like, this might be like my album of the year almost. I have to listen to it more. I have to listen to it more though. But I was like, I love the ideas in it. It was something
that's-
new because nowadays it's just all, dude, check out the new sick albums. All dun, 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 you know, it was like, and that's what I was kind of like I'm used to though. And I was like, my brain was like when the first song hit, what was the first track? It was the Don't Stop Swimming. I was like, that song just like got me in the mood, and I was like, all right, I'll listen to your creativeness and see what you want to bring to this, because it was confusing in the beginning. I was like, I did this face like, oh, okay. You know, what's coming next? And that's the face I kind of want to make. You know, I'm just all about like weird, like trying to like shock me, going like, all right, like, okay,
yeah, dude, this
all
is
right, sure.
definitely the section where we're gonna give praise, Cameron. So just get ready, dude.
So what's it called again?
The Brutal Machine.
Brutal Machine.
By Disfiguring the Goddess.
So the day after episode 118, Cameron hit us up, sent us a link to give us a private access to this album, and you can see that Joel just got on it right now after it's released. Casey hasn't listened to it, but
Yeah, Casey's like, what's the album called?
I missed all these comments,
I'm
by the way. I
going to
missed all the
listen.
comments. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
hold on.
Okay,
Hold on.
I'm not calling you.
I've
I'm-
heard Disfiguring the Goddess, and I love it already. I just haven't
Yeah.
heard this new one yet,
It's all good.
and
The
I'm
new
I
one's a
totally
weird
gonna
one.
check it out.
Yeah, I was giving you one of those elbows to the ribs. Real
Yeah,
quick.
no, it's
But
funny.
What
'Cause Anthony and I have been
was-
jamming this record big time since I
Yes,
sent it
we
over.
have been, dude.
We're
And,
both like, hell yeah.
that's what I was gonna go into was that day after, or maybe 2 days after, or whatever, that you had sent me that link. I gave it a listen. And
Oh, you sent it to us, didn't you? You totally sent it to
Yes.
us. What a
and
dickhead I
he gave us a little private link, and we had access to this album 30 weeks ago. It's 118, it's 148 right now. We've done 30 episodes since that episode, so week by week.
With all fairness, I got a hard time with private links myself. Like when something's on Spotify, it's just like it feels like even the album coming out, like I've been like jamming it on Spotify and been like, okay, now I could feel like I could listen to the record finally. You know,
there were times where my SoundCloud was weird and then it wasn't there, and I was like, wait, now I got to go back into the text to go get the link and re-upload it, because I had to have access to that shit every day. And you sent that to me, dude, and I just want to say that at 38, about to be 39, music has been so important to me since a teenager, you know. And there's certain things that we're looking for when we listen to music, and it's I like to just call it involuntary reactions, you know. Something about a song will make you react in a way that you weren't prepared to react in that moment, you know. And that happens quite often with all the great music that we listen to, you know. I could point so many different times of listening to Rush where I'm just like brought into this space that I didn't realize that I was being brought into, and just in the snap of a finger, I'm feeling an emotion. I'm feeling a certain way, and that depletes as we get older, as guys like us that dig into the deep waters and try and find all the sick shit. And so it's few and far between, and the Brutal Machine did that to me. It gave me those involuntary reactions where while I was listening to it, I wasn't ready to, or it wasn't that I wasn't ready. It was I wasn't expecting it to get underneath the surface so quick. And I love all the things that I just said right there, because there's many water references and just me rambling right there. And that's another thing that I love about you, and the water references. It's something that is very close to me as well. So there's I could go deep on this album. We're going to go deep on this album for sure. But I just wanted to say that I've had such a pleasant experience with this album since your last appearance on the show. And it's something that's just as powerful and valuable to me as it was when I first listened to it. And it's a breath of fresh air. It's very, I know I was telling you I was going to be licking your balls a bit in this intro, but I'm just saying, like, this really is something that it made me very excited, dude. And I don't get that excited anymore, you know? And that's might be about me and my relationship with extreme metal, you know, and all this stuff. But this is something that pulled me out of that and said, no, fucking sit here and listen. And I'm still doing that today. There was times where I couldn't go a day without listening it, bro. Like literally there'd be like weeks where I had to like go do my exercise in the morning with the Brutal Machine. And if I didn't have the Brutal Machine, it felt weird.
That's what you told me that earlier. So just to back him up, he was like, it's really good for cardio. Like,
yeah.
He was like, he's like, it just like gets you in the kind of headspace for cardio and just like floating and just getting it done. And I was like,
I would text Cameron and I would be like, dude, I had my Triumph flour flesh for breakfast and now I'm ready for the day, dude. You know?
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you so much.
And
Super
you're
sweet.
amazing, dude, because we also have connected as friends since then too. So there's many layers to why this album and you are important to me. So that's why we're having you back on a couple weeks after the shit drops. And I wanted you on the day after you're on. So yeah, dude, we're here. We're ready. Let's fucking party.
Hell yeah. That's amazing.
So
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
exactly
crazy.
30 episodes since you've been. I think you were on 118.
Yeah.
Now you're on 148.
yeah.
So exactly 30.
So every
dude.
30, we got to check in with you now.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I guess so.
Just kidding.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Like, with the way I know this man works, we're gonna be cutting that in half probably.
48, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. It's great that you guys are into it, you know.
Right, dude.
I know we've been into it for a minute, but when it like comes out, it just, it's not really, it's the public that's nice, but it's also like just having it on Spotify is easy to listen to, you know.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's like you guys have made references to this in the, even just like talking about tours being announced and stuff. It's like once it's announced or happening, it's so much more easy to, you know, be with that because things
Right.
happen, you know. But it's like before there's a tour announcement, you know that's where things are at, but you can't talk about it. And then it gets announced, like, all right, this is where I'm at, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like with the Enya references, because like, and some of the things you
I
were
knew it.
saying too, Anthony, with like being older and then like still loving heavy music and heavy metal, but like kind of skipping a gap. Like I feel like this record does a great job at like bringing a lot of my influences all across the board and kind of like not really like smushing them together in like this like analytical way, but really just more of like that feeling, emotional, but also a vibe, but staying like true to some principles throughout the whole creation process that led to it. I think it all feeling really organic and unique versus kind of like forced and overly influenced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a huge Enya fan.
I
Boom.
think
Nailed
you,
it.
Yeah.
you either referenced that on the last episode or
I was gonna say, did I
Um,
talk about that
Did you
last
talk
time?
about Enya last
I
episode?
watched
The
your
first song
Purgatory
I heard Enya.
TV episode.
Oh
as
yeah,
well,
yeah,
though.
yeah. I talked about the because
And I
yeah,
think you talked about Enya on that as well. And
Oh,
then
so,
when
it wasn't
Joel
organic?
said that to
Fuck.
me without me telling him anything about that, that right there was like, oh shit, there's another like there's another what's the word I'm looking for? There's another there's more evidence that what you're putting into what you're doing is really close to your influences.
yeah, it's cool because like, you know, as a guitar player, I feel like the guitar player is such a kind of like an expression instrument. Like just the way you play one note, you can kind of almost tell certain people are playing it. You know, I mean, you can name a bunch of guitar players that they play some simple ass riff, and you're like, oh, that sounds, you know, like Jack White's a good example. He plays hella simple shit. It's like, oh yeah, this is just the way he plays it, right? Or anyone, right?
Mhm.
The way Dimebag Darrell just hits open notes is just unique.
Mhm.
And I just feel like everyone kind of brings that into it. And me as a guitar player, I'm really like a rhythm player. And the more I've gotten into the computer, the worse I've gotten at guitar. So it's like kind of using the guitar as like just more of like a backbone, but also not really like veering away from how I play it. And the same with
Mhm.
the vocals. Like no matter what kind of music I make in metal, it's still gonna have a death metal vocal. And like I know my vocals have been really influential in like the deathcore wave of the last decade, but I
Right.
still really feel like my vocals are like just they're like death metal vocals, you know?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
there's some range to it, and I could definitely see how like the deathcore wave is influenced by those sounds and whatnot. But like when I approach it, I feel like I'm just doing death metal. Like I've never felt like a deathcore vocalist. I've always
Right.
felt like it's a death metal style. So I think that's a nice pillar in Disfiguring's
I'll always see you.
experimentalism
I'll see
too.
you in like I've always, even from back in the MySpace days, you were like in the Matty Way category for me. I never thought of deathcore. It was always Matty Way,
brutal death
super
metal.
brutal, guttural, like the lowest of the lows type shit.
And I like how that's just like the pillar of my style. Like I can't change the vocals. You know, I can't do a different type
And
of
I
vocals.
don't want you to.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny too with like the Brutal Machine specifically. I wasn't like picking a key for each track before I was writing it, but I would kind of like, you know, obviously find a key and I would write in that key for that song, but I wasn't as intentional as like, okay, I'm going to write this next song in F sharp or whatnot, you know? And the key that I write in, the vocals definitely like I'm doing a remix for this artist called Julia Wolf. It's a Disfiguring the Goddess remix. And the key it's in, I'm not used to like doing vocals in that key. So it's interesting to like feel my tonality shift to like fit in the pocket of the sound, you know, of the music. And but I think that's like the one kind of thing that I can stretch a little bit. Like I think like Make It All Right, that song has got some really cool tonality to the vocals, and I just feel like that's not so much of me changing how I do vocals, but it's just me doing vocals in that key. Even though it's not like a harmonic type of vocal type, you're not singing really. It's still tonal, but you need to have that resonance
Right?
and that peak where it's like, you know, just like anything. You're like, okay, it's in tune.
Do his vocals in the certain key. I was sorry, I was talking before I brought it up. I was making sure with Gilbert. Am I right on this? I think Frank Mullen's the same way. If you listen to his vocals, he plays or he vocalizes to the key that they're playing in.
You can tell like a lot of like death metal singers, it just kind of clicks better when they're people are growling and shit, but like when like the melodic value of it, if they're like in the key, there's a key there. There's a key.
Yeah, totally. It's the resonance peak needs to be in key.
Yeah, I'm always yelling at Anthony for doing a C sharp. I'm like, it's fucking C. What are you doing? Come on, dude.
We auto-tune a lot of Anthony's stuff, dude.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But
secrets out.
You know, I started in 2021. I started kind of writing music with a lot more like kind of like a systematic approach to it, where I would kind of like be pretty familiar with the structuring I was going to do, and I would definitely know the key I was in upon like the very first like catch of that, where you do something that catches you that you know you're going to follow that all the way through. You know your flow state just opens up. So I was really getting used to doing the whole key thing and just writing all kinds of songs. And then because I never thought about a key ever with Disfiguring the Goddess. I mean, even not even in electronic music either. I just would write songs. But I was reading about just how Meshuggah's gear is, like how they tune their guitars or what string gauges they use. And I was just curious about their whole approach, because for the most part with a guitar, I've kind of just tuned it to, I haven't really paid much attention. I'm not like a big guitar guy to where I know the string tension or what have you. It's been kind of random, and it's funny, like looking back, there's been a couple string gauges and tunings that like I really like, and there's been string gauges and tunings that I really don't like. And I don't have like I haven't nailed it. So I was kind of doing some research on what Meshuggah does, and they actually tune so their vocalist can sound better with their songs. And I thought that was really, really unique. Like I was like,
a lot of bands that like, especially when they get older, there's bands that they'll tune down a half step because their vocalist can't hit that anymore, and they're getting older, and they'll tune everything down a half step or a full step just so that the vocals can be in that pocket, you know, and just like still hit that. Because like you know, Slayer or something that's going, you know, like with Tom Araya just going like, he's like doing that Angel of Death scream. That was just like he's like he's like he can't like hit it anymore or something. And like, his vocals are just like, you know, he's fucking 50, you know, he's been retired for 3 years.
Hard,
but
dude, it's hard.
But like, yeah, just like it's a catching the string. Yeah, string gauge, string tension, tuning and stuff too. There's certain ones you find every now and then that are just butter, especially for playing, where you're just like randomly like, oh fuck. And there's scales of guitars, and Mike's gonna get probably wet on the conversation, but there's like the different scales versus like the string tension, and I mean that's obviously give me the tension, but like the string gauges and the different scales of the guitar, and then if you like drop D on something, and then all of a sudden it just like fucking your pick is just flying through it like butter. You're like, and you can still go fast, you can still go slow, you can do everything fine. Like there is a beauty of finding that like middle ground. What are you gonna say, Mike? Just show off your teeth, dude. You got good teeth.
The goal.
Talk about the gauge of the floss.
Fucking
Gauge
shit.
to the floss.
For me, the goal is to have a consistent string tension regardless of whatever tuning you're in. So I try to go for, I try to match the string tension. So whatever string gauge is required at whatever tuning to get the same string tension is what I go for. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
It makes too much sense. I wish I thought of that.
I wish like every time we could talk about guitar, like my favorite death metal guitar player could just pop in and
I'll go take a nap real quick, and you guys talk for an hour.
It's like, yeah, just,
you have to.
Tom Cruise just comes on and just gives you like that nugget.
Yeah, if you're an actor, just Tom Cruise just goes like, actually, when I was acting, I would actually do this.
I got a question for all of you, or Mike. So like, but what if I get with one of those like guitars
Mike's
that are like
this.
that like are like that have like the not like the micro tunals, but like the fan kind of frets where like the nut will be like slanted, and like so like the low string is like it's not like a flat. The
bridge is slanted too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't even have any.
No, it's
but
the
like
same. It's the same. It's yeah. Mike will explain it.
No, the bridge is not always slanted. There's a zero fret
for a fan fret guitar.
Yes, it depends on the fan. So some less fan guitars, the zero, what you call the neutral fret, would be the nut. So like on a Strandberg,
the nut's angled. Then you're talking
the
about
nut. No, on a Strandberg, the nut is still normal scale length. Yeah. So the neutral fret on guitars that have a wider scale length between the first and the sixth string, or the first and whatever string, those are usually like somewhere around 5 to 7. The 5th or 7th fret, right around there, is kind of like the neutral fret, and then it fans one direction below that, and then it fans the other direction when you get up high. But those are for like guitars that are so like a Strandberg is 25 gauge, or excuse me, 25 inch on the first string and 25 and a half on the sixth string, right? That's not a really wide fan. So on other guitars where you're dealing with like a 25.5 on the first string, and then like a 27 or something on the sixth.
Aren't there ones where like the nuts slanted? Like on certain
yeah, so if it's a wider multi-scale range,
Strandberg is not a big multi-scale range.
The neutral fret is somewhere like around the 5th fret. That's the one that looks normal.
Wait, what do y'all mean by nut?
I was gonna say my nuts are slanted as fuck.
That's part of the guitar. No, it's the the part where the strings go on.
It's the balls with the cum come out.
Knows what's up, dude. This is what happens when gear talk happens, dude. We're just like, wait, he just said nut.
No, I'm learning stuff.
Be careful when you talk about string tension around us, dude. We'll get all weird on you.
Yeah, but like I guess I was saying, like I know it's a thing because there's been times of tuning and different strings that I've been buying on different guitars that just feel better, and I've had definitely parts of my guitar playing life where like I just don't like my guitar. Like nothing feels good. I don't like writing on it.
You don't want to pick it up. Yeah. It's kind of like
and I know it's connected. Do I need to get a new one? just one just break all of a sudden.
No, I know that's kind of like when you get into like what Mike's talking about, kind of like you get into the like, why doesn't this feel good? like, and you start like breaking down like tensions versus like you know, your truss rod, and like trying to get like way deep into it, and like you can make pretty much any guitar feel good, but you have to get fucking nerdy with it if you want to, or
Yeah,
have a guy.
it sucks too right now because like that's kind of why I was thinking about getting a new guitar because like I write songs in different keys all the time, and I'm not really thinking about the guitar when I'm writing a certain song. And sometimes I have to tune the guitar differently for
Yeah.
one specific song, and that's fine because I'm just, you know, in a studio recording and making this stuff. But I'm not like I'm like, let's just record this and get it done with because I'm just
Yeah.
like this feels awful, but it sounds fine, or I can't really tell, you know, whatever. I mean, that's kind of funny too about the Brutal Machine, is like I knew the concepts were good. Like if anyone watching this is familiar with um the record I did called Soothe, that was like the first thing I did where it was really like a true fusion. Because I've always been using atmosphere and ambient elements and synths and this and that and the music samples. But Soothe was like the first thing I did where it was like the samples and the whatever you want to call that aspect of the music was like as a main
That's
of
the
an
one with just
element as anything
DTG
else.
on the cover, right? Is that
Yeah,
the
it's
one
like
with
an
just
orange
DTG?
logo.
Dude,
No,
and
that's the Blood Animal. It's funny
oh,
because
okay,
like
sorry.
I did Caterpillar, and then I was doing Blood Animal. It was actually called something different. Blood Animal was what I wanted to call a black metal project. So I always kind of feel like there's something funny time, and I just switched it last minute. But
Did we lose him?
Like in tradition, we got to keep his face up
Yeah,
there and
I
keep
think
talking.
I
You know, yeah.
I had a premonition about a frozen face on this, I guess, by talking about Chris's face freezing.
That happens, dude. That's all good. Let's do
Okay, so multi-scale guitars.
yes, go back to that.
Do it now.
All right, let's get back into this. Is he back? No. Okay.
Doesn't matter. It's perfect.
Part of why multi-scale guitars are very cool is
yeah, I like how my internet's fixed and then I just disappear.
I just said that.
He's back.
You're all good though. We got you now.
Yeah, I was just saying. I was kind of doing multiple records at once, and at the very end of that Blood Animal record, which I did with the original vocalist of Disfiguring, he's never been on any of like the catalog stuff. That he was like the vocalist before we ever recorded anything, and we're just good buds. So I was like, let's do another record together. And it's funny because no one ever like notices that there's two vocalists on that entire record. So it's interesting. But at the end of it, we were getting into the whole sample stuff big time. And then before we finished that, I like wrote half a Soothe, and Soothe had this like this ultra beef part of it. But the Brutal Machine is basically like the evolution of that thing that Soothe kind of started, which is like the combination, the main, like how the synths and everything is just as main or just as important as the guitar and the drums. And I feel happy with the composition of the record. I feel great with kind of like everything about it. The thing I was unsure of if I nailed the production aspect of it, because I mixed it on MacBook Pro speakers and these like cheap Sennheisers, and like I just was trying to get it to sound good on my laptop basically. And then I got it mastered by an absolute boss. But like in terms of the mixing, I was like, it was kind of funny. But
well, I mean, most people are listening to their shit on their laptop, right?
yeah. But I've since got some speakers, and the speakers I got are like the craziest speakers I've ever had in my life by far. So it's definitely nice to be able to hear multiple dimensions of, and it's the speakers have really taught me about how quiet I've had certain elements. Like there's like things I'm listening to my new speakers that I'm like, I turn up like 20 dB and I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Where before I was like, I don't know if that's too loud or not. I can't tell. So I was really kind of like nervous that I kind of like the production engineering aspect missed was like the songwriting and the idea is here, and then like I needed the production to get good enough to honor that, to where like you could feel it when what I was trying to put down.
Well,
And
I mean, I
sure,
felt
man. It's
it.
hard.
I
Yeah.
definitely felt it. I felt
well,
what you
it,
were trying to put down.
yeah, when the first single dropped and the reception was good, I was like, oh, I hit it. Like this will be good. This will do. You know, the production is not going to be on like some radio level where it's like transcending the world, but like it's gonna like make the waves to the people who are gonna like pick up what I'm putting down with it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's truly, it's like the when I say radio waves, it's like I think it could, you know, reach a lot of different types of people and stuff, but truly like the people who are probably going to latch on to it the most are going to be like, you know, people around our age who have been listening to like death metal for
Mhm.
20 years and this
But
like
love other shit as well.
yeah, like Soilwork was like a big influence on this record, and I've like grew up loving Soilwork
Me
and
too. Me
stuff,
too.
and just the way they write songs, and I don't know. So that was kind of like it's just an ode to a lot of stuff without really trying to be like, I never had like a moment where I was like, oh, this sounds like so and so. I just was like, you know,
You made a
putting
good
it
you made a
in.
good point with that though. You made a good point earlier. You were like, you know, we have a bunch of influences and we're using a bunch of influences, but we're not being like, all right, this is the part where it's like this. This is where it's like this. It's kind of like melding them somehow cohesively. So they're not like, so they're all in there, but they're not like, oh, this is our, you know, Enya part. You know what I mean? It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
melded in the background where it's not
Yeah.
like that's what actually that's the first, when you said that, that's the first thing I thought about when I was listening. I was like, there's like black metal in here. There's like there's all, but the thing is like I wouldn't call it black metal, but for it basically just melded in. It's
It's
like
vibe,
Oh
dude.
yeah.
It's
No, I
yeah,
totally know
atmosphere.
what you mean. Cause I'm a
yeah,
big black metal fan. Like one of my favorite bands of like probably the last month or so, like I've just been listening to Dark Funeral like nonstop.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Oh
whole
yeah.
the whole catalog. Like I've just
Just
been
Yes.
rinsing it. I mean, I love that newest record and I was jamming that when it came out, but I don't know what happened. Just like in the past couple months, I've just been rinsing it like all the time. That songwriter in that band, that guitar player, he's so sick.
is
He
it
writes the
Oh
best
Finland?
no.
riffs.
No.
And I
And
also I hear early the second wave Norway in there too. There's some over Demu
oh
style
yeah, but
older.
like I would call the new Disfiguring like it has black metal influence, but it doesn't sound like Dark Funeral in the slightest,
Like
right? Nothing
atmospheric
about it.
black metal, like atmospheric
Yeah,
black metal. It's like got
it's
an
funny.
atmosphere about it.
Did I tell the old man's child story last time I was on here?
I
No,
don't
but
remember.
what I mean, yeah, I think you did actually. No, I say no, but I think you actually did because I was thinking today, I was listening to the album for the 100th time in the last fucking few months. And I got to that song where I was feeling these early what is it? Bergat over era and
Oh yeah,
early like for all tid Stormblast Demu, and I was like, but wait, there's also another, and I was like, Old Man's Child, that's one that I'm getting. And then that clicked with me, like I remember him talking about Old Man's Child. So I don't know if I
yeah.
again saw you on another podcast, Purgatory TV, or if it was ours, but I
Shout
can't
out
figure
Purgatory.
out. Hell yeah, shout out.
Yeah,
Um, I can't remember where I heard it, but I know that you had mentioned Old Man's Child somewhere for me
yeah.
too.
I love all that early Demu stuff. Like literally, basically, the re-recording of Stormblast and before. That's
Mhm.
like I love that whole catalog. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And then you know the guy from Old Man's Child is on it, and he does vocals on some of the stuff on Death Cold Armageddon. Just like
Nice.
in
Yeah,
the
you did.
background.
You brought up what was the one that starts with a V? The one with Nick Barker on drums, the Old Man Child with Nick Barker
Oh
drumming.
yeah, that's That's you're talking about Vermin, which starts with the V, but it's
Yep.
the album is
So
called
that's the album
In
that you brought
Defiance
up.
of Existence.
I remember
that
us
that
talking
album
about
is.
Yeah.
Nick Barker's not on Vermin. He's only on.
It's the one with the creepy chick on the front.
That's In Defiance of Existence.
Okay,
that's the
so
one.
that's Nick
That's
Barker.
that's the pinnacle of Old Man's Child.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
that album's so good.
Definitely.
So
Oh,
good.
yeah, dude.
And that was the album where like I got into that because he's the guitar player of Dimmu Borgir and he does the vocals on it. And I dig his vocals. And that album is just like it has all the elements that I really liked about Dimmu Borgir, but it kind of like goes more into that pocket that it's in. And I just love like the songwriting on it. There's so many things you could redeeming about it. It actually has like some heavy Enya vibes too, with like the way the keyboard he used to do all the synths on it.
Oh
is
yeah.
Very pad and very lush.
Totally.
Yeah, dude. And that part of the that second half is where that starts to, blossom.
Yeah, the Soul Receiver. That song is like. But I remember listening to that back in the day, and this was before I could do vocals or knew about it or whatever. And I was like, man, if I could just do the vocals, I could just write all this, write the whole thing. But not really write the whole thing, but it was like execute the feeling of how I wanted it to kind of lay. So I don't know. That the Brutal Machine's a cool album. Like when I've wrote a bunch of music since finishing it. And I was kind of like, it's all over not all over the place, but like there's a pocket here and a pocket here, certain things like certain tempos and certain styles that I was kind of like leaning into for a little bit. And I have like all this music and I was not really paying much attention to it because I was actually like starting to write music out of fear that the Brutal Machine was going to be like a huge flop. And like, I was like, I don't want to like keep writing shit that feels awful to release, so I was writing like just like a bunch of death metal really, and then the Brutal Machine hit. Like as soon as this first single came out, and I just knew it was going to be flush and feel good, so I just unloaded on this other album I'm working on. But it's conceptually like the whole like what you were talking about in the beginning, where like you listen to the whole thing all the way through. I think like the follow-up, I'm not sure if it's going to have that all the way through where every song is so cohesively similar yet different than the next song type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's due to that like probably that little bit of I don't know what it is. Like it's an experimentation, but it was also like a fear type of thing. But honestly, like the shit I'm working on now is there's a lot more ballsy stuff on it. Like there's some stuff where I'm like, I can't believe you're going to release this.
Well, dude, I want to make sure that you bask in what's happening with this album being released because, the fear of it, the reception and all this kind of stuff. And now it being out there and you feeling the positive reception. I mean, you got my positive reception.
Yeah, I laugh about that too, because like I'll read comments on it sometimes, and like I like when people come out and they start like expressing that they don't like it. I'm like, this is good. Like, hell yeah, because there's so like the fan page on Disfiguring has like so many people who have liked it, and I'm like, who the hell are like all these people, right? Like who are they? Right. So when I see someone who's like hates it or they're being very vocal, I'm like, it's also on Facebook. It's like, how do I know? I don't know if they've ever listened to Disfiguring, or I don't know if they haven't listened to it in like what albums they've heard or what, right? Like I feel like the fan base the fringes are very fragmented. The core is tight. The core gets it, but the fringes are like whatever. And I'm like, this guy was like hating it, and I'm sure it was because it wasn't like a brutal death metal record. I'm like, like I don't know, like some like the sickest like brutal death metal musicians I know are like all about it. It's just so funny.
No, it's all perspective, and that dude's got a shitty perspective, dude. So what you gotta look at it is like,
wrong.
Don't even fucking like think about that guy. because you
not
got
at all.
all the positive vibes over here, and I'm one of those people who, you know, I wanted to make sure I gave you your flowers when
No, you did, bro. I'm gonna cap it and post it.
I
It's a testimony.
yeah, dude, no, dude, I'll make a statement right now to the world that this is probably I told Joel today, dude, I was like, if there has to be something amazing that's going to happen from now to the end of the year. I didn't say this to him, but this is in my mind right now. I told him that this is basically my album of the year.
Hell
And there would have to be something miraculous to happen from this point until the end of the year to take this one out of #1 spot for me, dude. And with all the production things that you had mentioned, you know, I will say you can tell that it was made at home, you know, but that
yeah.
doesn't take away from anything that's going on, and the way that it all feels like a unit when you're listening to it. If you don't ever get to that same thing, you know, you were saying it's all sporadic right now. I'm kind of scattered with everything that I've been doing since then. At least you know that you have that album where it all came, you know, it all flowed together. And dude, I'm telling you, dude, that's a front to back listen for me is also and that sounds pretentious. Fuck. I don't want to sound like a pretentious asshole when I say this, but
You gotta flow.
when we
You
get
gotta let it
older,
out.
it's harder for me to sit and listen to a newer album from front to back without, you know, my attention being taken from the kids and you know, all this kind of shit. If I get a set amount of time where I can sit down and get through a album front to back and love it, that's great. This one makes me sit down. This one makes me sit down. This one, or I shouldn't say sit down. This one makes me focus while I'm listening to it a lot. It keeps my attention. Most definitely, the distractions that you would have while listening to music, those are harder to break through while I'm listening to this album. And I want it. I want everybody else to who's listening to this to just go and take a dive into the waters. I want to know, what are the waters? What's all the water? I love it so much, and I want to know what your connection with to the water in Nevada.
It's funny because like I mean, I've always liked writing about water and oceans and stuff, mainly for like kind of the mystery that water can kind of evoke, and maybe kind of like the primordial source of life that water kind of has too. But like, you know, I'm originally from Huntington Beach. We moved to Nevada as a teenager, and then after I graduated high school, I moved back to Huntington for a while. So just, you know, although I'm pretty Nevada and I live up here, and like, you know, that's the other part of like Disfiguring is like writing about mountains a lot. This album doesn't have a lot of mountain references on it, but a lot of the prior ones do. So it's kind of funny that those like the two things I've like dug deep on. But it's like a lot of, I haven't posted the lyrics to the record yet, but like a lot of the lyrics are like pretty positive. And like
Right.
Black Wave, I think it's just like literally about surfing.
Hell yeah, dude.
You know, like I can't remember what it. I don't mean that's the thing. That's why I haven't posted it, because the lyrics are like scribbled all over the place. I need to like get them together. But
digging on, you know, listening to Big Chocolate for several years, and feeling the vibe with that project, and earlier Disfiguring albums, you couldn't necessarily understand with the brutal vocals what you were saying with those, but with this album, I could tell that you really wanted certain parts to be heard, you know, and there's the everything is going to be okay.
Yeah, shit's sick.
Yeah, that is fucking sick, bro. And not only is it sick, but it's like such a easy, positive affirmation that you're getting from an extreme style of music that it's so targeted in the sense that you have to get to a certain level with extreme death metal in order to listen to death metal and have it tell you that it's going to be okay. You know, like most death metal will not tell you it's going to be okay, you know?
Yeah.
And with this, that you get to this level where it's like, not only is this great music to listen to, but it's telling me that everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, whoa, this is a cool kind of weird contrast that I usually hear people telling me I'm going to come blood and fucking, you know, murder,
Well,
you know.
I just did a quick listen to the album,
Yes.
like underneath.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Like
cool.
Joel style, and
Yeah, I do.
I did my homework like right before. Now I can take the test.
Yes.
No, I had to have context, and it was kind of cool. Like as you were talking about it for a while, Anthony, just going on, and I was listening, and it's like the soundtrack to your talking was like the music. So I kind of recommend people, if you're watching the podcast, dude, you can put this on like and just
Right
like
now.
zone. I mean, there's so many
Put it in
things.
the background while we're
It's really
on
cool
right
because
now.
it has like the mix of like you know how like music can be like ambient, but it can also be like super like you're you're focusing on every note. So there's like background music and then both like ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I feel like it has both at the same time.
I agree.
And it's almost like bands can do that, like that are amazing, like say progressive bands like Cynic or something can do that kind of stuff or whatever, Beneath the Massacre, things like that. I mean, Between the Buried and Me is what I meant to say. But what I'm saying is that basically like I started listening to it and I was just like, whoa, what is this? Like this is really
Right. It's the same
right off
reaction.
the bat. Like you're just like, this is super different. What is this? And then like as it keeps going and I kind of get the overall like picture somewhat, I really sit down and listen to it. But like I was like, whoa, this is like really cool. Like this is nuts. Like there's it was like pulling me in, and I was like, no, I have to go.
You guys are making me so happy.
That's
because
cool.
my wings.
Yeah. So no, right off the
can
bat,
share this.
yeah.
No, I was just
That's
gonna say I
awesome.
can share this
Yeah.
with the homies now. We can talk about it
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
your back, Cameron. We're gonna have discussions about you, dude.
It's funny, like when Joel was like, I'm just gonna put it on, and like I was like, oh, that means it's gonna be a good experience, because part of the way I kind of wanted it to be was like almost like a background element to things where you
Totally.
could really just like put it on and not pay attention to it, but write it, you know, at the same time. Like it would just set this like I've always been into records where you could just put it on, not pay attention to it. Those are like my favorite types of records. And I like, those are like records I like to share with other people. And I don't like to share with them like, hey, check this out. It's just something I'll just like put on when someone's over or if I'm
Yeah,
entertaining
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Wait for the reaction or whatever.
Yeah. So like, I think this is the first record I've done for Disfiguring where it really had like some background music intentions kind of put into how it is, you know, because it's easy listening. It's easy to listen to, you know.
I just got a reference point. Sorry.
Yeah.
Finish your thought, dude. Sorry.
I was gonna say I just want it to be like some death metal that could like really scratch the itches of like someone who's into serious death metal, but also like put it in the car with like your girlfriend and she won't like mind. You know what I mean?
Totally. Exactly.
Dude, that's exactly the point that I was just gonna go into, which is I found a reference point, which is in April, Jared got married. I was DD from the wedding to your house, Joel, and DD gets to put on the soundtrack for the ride. And I picked Disfiguring the Goddess.
That's awesome.
And I just sat there and waited to see who, because there was a few non-metal people, including my wife, you know, in the car. And everybody,
Bada bing.
nobody referenced, or I shouldn't say referenced, nobody said anything about the music. It was just such a nice background thing. The only thing that was said was, what is this? That's what they said was, what is it? So it was a background thing that I put on, didn't tell them what was going to come on, just put it in there, drove them, and hearing the interactions in the car, just waiting for somebody to, maybe say something about it. And the non-metal people were like, what is this? And so that was another test for me that told me, like, this may be an album that very well could be something that you could listen to with somebody who is non-death metal to give them an opening
Gateway.
to death metal.
Yeah.
No,
Big time.
definitely. I mean, actually, Anthony, you brought up a good point too earlier about having kids running around and all the things and trying to, and still paying attention to it. Like that's for me. I mean, me listening to the whole album all the way through is a huge compliment. That's like I don't think I've ever done that in the last like 7 years. I don't think
Especially
I've ever.
for something that you were just like, check this out.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm already kind of annoyed because I have to check it out. I don't know why I have this annoyance when people go like, you have to check this out, and I'm like, I'm just
You're
kind of
old
like this.
and jaded,
There's like,
Joel.
yeah, I'm old, and I'm just like, there's like a little annoyance of like, oh, I guess I.
Yeah.
Well, and also too, it kind of comes from this place. I mean, I'm just going psychological with it. It comes from the place. Remember when you would show someone something, and then you were the one that found it, kind of thing. So like I'm all, Anthony already found this, so it's already a lost cause for me trying to show it to someone else. And like, and I listened to it, and I listened to it the whole way through, and that's for me. That's like I said, like I have not extreme ADD, but pretty bad ADD, where I'm like, I'll like listen to songs when someone sends me a song to listen to, and I'll hear the intro and like a little riff in the beginning, like cool. I'll like click 15 seconds, 20. Like 25. I'll like click through it because I'm just like I need the thing. Like give me the dopamine. I need the dopamine now. And it's kind of a shitty way. I mean, it used to be like I had to like put the CD in from the store that I paid $20 for it. Like I now have this, it has value now. Like I now have to listen to this. But now it's like it's so easy just to be like Spotify, boom. All right. I'm not into it yet. All right, scroll. All right, not into it yet. All right, scroll. Oh, that's kind of cool. Scroll. All right, I got the vibe, the album. I get it. That's like literally how I do things now, and it bums me out. But at the same time, I don't want to like for something that doesn't catch me. I'm just kind of like I don't want to waste all the time, and like it's kind of like a protection thing,
I feel like speaking of being old though, like with metal and stuff, like it's like the old. Like it's like, I mean, especially with death metal and stuff, it's like back in like the day or the 90s when it's like there's like 4 bands you got to know or check out, or like 5 bands or 6 or whatever. Like it's like these bands, there's all these other little ones that are cool, but like these are the ones. And then it's like as time has gone on, it's like, yeah, there's like these 12 bands. Like you got to just know these.
But when someone shows you
bands, and then nowadays it's like, oh yeah, dude, there's like 400 fucking bands. Like it's oh, you don't know like like dissecting the tree frog or something, like fucking like there's like so many endless bands. And
but you get taken out of when there's 4 only though. That's like you said, there's 4 bands, and then someone shows you a band that's like, oh, this one's gonna be number 5 and could be number 1 out of the 4. All of a sudden,
the older you are, the lower the number is. Like,
like
if you're 50, you're like, I only have room for like 10 bands.
Yeah, exactly.
But like
I've already heard all
these days are like,
offshoots.
oh, my favorite 1,000 bands, dude. Like, what's it's like what?
It's my favorite 100 tracks of 100 songs of the last month, dude.
I don't know.
Like,
well, that's funny because I like that meme where it's like favorite bands. I just take all the songs I like and put it into one big playlist. Because I do that shit.
I know.
My metal playlist is like just like butt rock with like sick black metal or like catchy death metal grippy thing.
Same,
just like every song I'm just like banger.
Oh, me too.
Seether coming on next.
Oh yeah,
rules.
Dude, my top 100 like listens on Spotify was still like the number 1 is The Weeknd. And number 2 is like Spawn of Possession, or it's like a gnarly death metal band. And I was like watching it, I was like, well, I don't want to share this, but I'll share it. Fuck it. Okay.
I actually categorize all my like Apple Music shit to like genres. I put them all like I put them in certain genres. So it's like, you know, I do like electronic ambient or electronic instrument or or like shit like that, or like metal death, and then like, you know, rock metal and stuff like that. So it's like I put it
Technical
on,
brutal death metal.
yeah, like
Brutal death metal.
or like metal progressive, and it's all that shit. But then like the funniest part is when I just take all of it and just hit like on like the main play button, just shuffle everything, and it's just like
It's madness.
Whitney Houston, and then Cannibal Corpse, and then fucking, you
It's
know, like
awesome.
Miles Davis, and then fucking like Green Day or something. You know, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
That's the best. That's
Yeah,
the best.
totally.
Oh,
I was thinking about what you're saying with the listening to it all the way through, and like how you're like, I have ADD, so I'm just like skipping through.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I've got ADD too. And the way I look at it, it's just like it's a dopamine problem.
Yeah, it is.
So I have to, so I have to be very, very aware of what's giving me dopamine and how to really limit it. And if I can limit it, then I'm like hella good at things I actually have to do. But if I'm like this is why I don't have Instagram. Like you guys are all on Instagram, like, oh, check this out on Instagram. Like, guys, like I gotta stay away from it. Like it ruins my life.
I gotta
damn.
fucking delete my Instagram. It's getting it just
totally
doom
ruins my life,
scrolling. It's like
I don't even really use
It's
it other than for the
kills
show.
the dopamine.
It
But I feel
does.
like with that album, it because dopamine is like a focus, right? It's like you're trying to focus on something. So with that album, you can listen to it but not focus on it, and you could use the record as like a way to think about other shit or to do other stuff, or to like, you know, give yourself like almost like cause yourself to daydream in a way. And so like your focus isn't really on the music sometimes. And that's what's funny, like when you're talking about the lyrics too, like certain key phrase, like it all kind of sounds like it runs together, but then every once in a while there's like this key prominent thing that jumps out, like a vocal that's very pronounced or a sample that just kind of hits you in the way. And it just kind of like it puts you on like the track of like where the record and the tempo and the key of the record, but then it allows you to kind of like have your mind wander to whatever it's supposed to wander by whatever you just got hit by.
You have just like little like checkpoints throughout the album that'll bring you right back to it for a little bit, and then you can wander off again.
Yeah, like I think that about songs a lot. Like, and I've always kind of thought this, and I've like tried to lean into this. Like Soothe, I did this a lot. I was like, this is gonna get people thinking all kinds of shit. But I heard James Hetfield talk about this too, where like they're like, what's the meaning of this song? And he's like, it can mean like 100 different things. Like it's meant different things to me at different times. It's going to mean different things to you at different times. And like, that's kind of how I like music too. It's like, yeah, you know, when you get a song with a meaning that you really are familiar with the meaning of that song, then it's cool. But like, even before you knew that meaning, you're like, oh, this song, you're applying it to yourself in that way, where you're processing your own memories or experiences or ambitions through whatever you're.
I think
it's probably the same exact thing when people read a book and then it gets adapted to film and then they're disappointed.
What the fuck is reading a book, dude? My ADD, I've never.
I mean, I think about that too with reading, because like I'll read some books where they'll preface like the introduction will be kind of like instructions on like how to handle this book or whatnot. And some books I've read that I've liked a lot. And this is the thing too with books too, is like you need to reread them a lot of times or reread them throughout your life. There's books that people read every year. And it's different things kind of jump out to you when you read it, and whatever sticks with you or like what means something to you when you're reading it is kind of what you need to take away from it at that point.
Right.
You know, like when a book doesn't have a summary at the end of the chapter, it's like, that's a good thing, because you're not supposed to like have what they want you to get out of it summarized. You're just supposed to take whatever you're like got from it and run with it. And then when you reread that book in a month, you'll be like, well, this is like a totally different book to me now. Like,
or you reread it a few years later and your life has changed and you have a different perspective. Then you reread it and certain things will jump out more than others. And
I wanted to jump in real quick about the idea of like kind of going back a second, like about like like sensory, like levels of sensory output, like in the music or focus in the art or the film or whatever it is. But like in your case, in the music, like I think having this like kind of an ambient sensory like constant going on, like creates this interest and connection, and you're kind of like, ah, it's music, like I can like just glide on it. And then all of a sudden there's things that happen that you like focus on that you're like, oh, that's really cool. Then it kind of goes back and you can kind of like chill on it, like, and it's like but the whole time you're like interested, but you can have it in the background or not, like, and I don't know, like, I think that's like really pleasing to like the brain and like and sensory, because you're not overloaded but you're constantly interested, like,
Yeah.
and it's, I think that's like kind of the eternal balance of like a lot of times something that's really complex, or like here's a lot of information, some crazy shred thing or something, but then like mixing that with like chilling out and giving you like a break in between. Like jazz can do that pretty well actually, like, or like certain music like it knows that, like it, like, or even classical, like that's like part of the whole structure, like it's like intuitive. But like in metal, that's not necessarily, there's no rule book, or like there's no, there's, I mean, everything's just so unique and creative that like some bands just naturally like find that pocket of like when to chill back and when to shred, or when to create like something complex, or when to create a more ambient thing, and that kind of vibe. And that's like there's some albums that like are so insane constantly that you get, I can't even get through the whole album, like it's like so much, like I'm like I gotta like listen to like half of it and then like go eat some pizza and then come back, like it's a break.
Or a banana.
Yeah,
Big time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel that way about like the first Fast and the Furious movie. I can watch all the way through, but the further I get in the series, I'm like, I gotta take some breaks.
Yeah.
Is that shit good? Because I've literally watched.
It's so funny because I think he made a Fast and the Furious reference on the first time he came on too.
To me, it felt like when I watched Fast and Furious, it felt like kind of like a Dawson's Creek, like reading like off a teleprompter, like I don't believe you guys when you're talking kind of thing, and I just like immediately bailed. I was like, no, I'm out.
No, I'm not gonna lie. Fast,
but a lot of people love them.
First one, legit.
First one, Too Fast and Furious has lines for days.
Okay,
what about the 15th? What about the 14th one? What about the 14th one?
I've only seen up to 5.
Up to 5.
And they get more and more. There's a funny analogy in the first one where I can't remember the guy's name. I want to say Vince, but I know it's wrong.
And no, I think you're right.
Maybe I'm right, but he's trying to impress that chick that Paul Walker's macking on, and he comes in and he's like smacking the microwave. I'm like, this is an analogy of how technology is bad in Fast and Furious. The only high tech I want to see in Fast and Furious is them playing a PlayStation on the front dash. I want to see any bank heists and them like hacking into the systems of the city or whatever. Get out of here.
Get out of here, dude.
Like, I'm in the mainframe. I'm in the mainframe. I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. You're good to go. Steal $4 billion from the drug dealers. Like, do it. That movie's, they get ridiculous. But I want to talk back about what Casey was talking about. What you said about like dialing things back and bringing them back really resonated with me. And then you compared it to how jazz does it. Because like a breakdown in jazz is the part of the song where it gets to its most fundamental thing of the whole song, and then it kind of builds
like
back up
climax?
for the outro. No, it's like, you have your song, right?
The roots.
It just gets so stripped down. Sometimes the players play really soft. Sometimes it's just like 1 or 2 instruments playing. When you see it live, they improvise. So
it's all
like,
about them just like chilling on stage, like smoking a cigarette. Like, I'm done for a little while here. Like, I'm just like on my trumpet. Like, they got their suit on and they're just like
a breakdown. It's literally they're taking a break.
It's a break. They're taking a break.
Yeah. It's the most simple part of the song, and I kind of experiment with that.
Blown right now, guys, because breakdown I never even.
That's what it's supposed to be, dude.
I mean, it's the breakdown the most technical part of a metal song. It's usually just like the jun 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 jun.
Yeah,
it totally is
fundamentally
a break for everybody.
It's usually some of the most simplest parts of a metal song,
kind of a
but
break,
in terms of energy, it's supposed to be like one of the most intense part of the songs. So when you do that, it kind of like. It's like it's the most simple, but it's also the most intense, and
it's dramatic.
it's dramatic. And with
Yeah,
Disfiguring, I've tried to really like, I mean, I think on like Sleeper and Circle of Nine, some of the earlier shit, I was doing a lot of breakdowns and stuff. But I think like with Black Earth Child was the first one I started doing. I don't know. I there's breakdowns on that record, but the songs would have like kind of what we're talking about, where it would just get really simple and like take its time to like stretch it out a little bit.
Mhm.
And on this record, like there's a couple breakdowns that are on it, but I wrote it all as a bridge at first. It was really just like kind of like a throwback to maybe the intro, and maybe just like really removed a lot of the elements, but kept a lot of like the main. You can call them like a theme, but it's like the samples and synths that have kind of been, dancing throughout the song, kind of like draw out a little bit. And most of the songs I think started with just the bridge that goes back into like the last chorus again. And then when I was wrapping the album up, I usually added like a prop, like an extended, because in metal to me, I think the bridge is like one of the more cooler elements that really kind of, if you're writing metal with like a song structure in it, like a typical like, verse, pre-chorus, chorus type, like a song structure to it.
Mhm.
One of the main things that separates metal from rock to me is like an extended bridge, where you can have like multiple sections that only appear that one time in the song, just in the bridge itself,
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you're either ending the song or going back to the last chorus.
Iron
Uh,
Maiden would do that shit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, exactly.
extended bridges and stuff, or like interludes, or it's the same.
Interludes. Yeah.
Because a bridge
Yeah.
usually like has
Always been interlude.
vocals, like technically, well, it doesn't. It's the same thing. You mean you can have a bridge without vocals,
Yeah,
but
you could call the
but
bridge a breakdown. It could be the
yeah, it
same
doesn't
thing.
matter. But like
It
an
could be
interlude is
instrumental.
same. Yeah,
Yeah. So
but yeah,
I've been kind of, that's something I've been messing with more. Like on Brutal Machine, some of those songs I think have some pretty long bridges, or some bridges that really kind of like shift really, like when Cave Water's got like a proper breakdown in it, no vocals on it, but then like Triumph Flower Flesh really really simmers down, and then when it comes in, it's just like this, like the vocal from the bridge starts extending, and it just kind of moves a little while before,
Fucking
and then the
love that
last chorus
song, dude.
starts with no drums. It's just the main piano lick that kicks the last chorus off before everything kind of comes back in to conclude it. So that's a good example of like kind of the bridgey breakdown. But some of the stuff I've been, just in terms of us thinking about this aspect of a song, I've been like, I'll write a song and I'll usually write the song with, that simple structure in mind, and then come back to it the next day and only focus on the bridge as like a whole nother second session, where I just extend it. And sometimes the bridge is just as long as like the whole song is before I put the bridge in there,
that's
So it's
cool.
like it's a weird, yeah, talking about songs, I always think of the structuring aspect of it, and I think
Sure.
about how
Yeah.
like let's look at punk and metal as art forms of music, right? In progressive, innovative art forms of music that I mean, obviously I think metal is way more creative on all these different ends, and have spawned way more, different types of metal, but also cultural shit. I think metal's, punk too. I'm more of a metal guy, so obviously
No,
I'm
I
gonna
think
like
that
say like,
metal has definitely made its imprint on the world, and it's continuing to do that.
yeah, punk's kind of become more of an attitude thing. I mean, when you listen to
Right.
hardcore, it really sounds like you could hear how like it's, the roots are punk rock, not really metal. And then you could tell like when it, as they've grown, like when you listen to Hatebreed or something, it's like Hatebreed's like a heavy metal band. It's like
Yeah.
when
Right.
you pay attention to like the hardcore roots of Hatebreed, it sounds like punk,
It's punk.
like
Yeah,
straight
it's
up.
punk, man. Yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
like
But
Sepultura KSAD.
yeah, but punk I think about a lot with like, it has these elements, right? It's fast, it has this attitude, and the attitude makes its way into how like the guitar is played, and how everything synergizes together to be like that punk,
It's
angst. And I
real
think,
quick on that.
yeah,
It's
of
kind of funny
course.
how like punk, like if you have like certain right style of punk, and you have those kind of skank beats, like, and then you have, or almost, or maybe a little bit slower, but almost skank beats, and then you have like thrash, like there's like this weird, like almost bridge in some of that stuff, especially like bands like
shit.
Bad Religion or something, who like
Oh
have
yeah.
like, like in like kind of like guitar, like melodic stuff. Of course, Offspring and stuff would kind of do that late, but like on a more pop level. But like, like those like
Mhm.
and like these like guitar leads and stuff, like, and it's like a
Oh
little,
yeah.
it's like there's like this weird crossover there, but it's like that's as far as it goes. And after that, it's like no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where it
Metallica
became just an attitude after
Yeah.
that.
Metallica was way
Yeah.
into punk too, so they
Right,
were
yeah.
like
Yeah, you
super
could
into
tell.
that kind of stuff.
Like, well,
Oh yeah, big
Slayer
time.
too, like the thrash.
Slayer too.
I
Yeah,
think in
exactly.
general, thrash was influenced by that too.
Undisputed
But
Attitude, dude.
thrash
That's
went
their
to
punk cover album, right?
Big.
Well, you could tell
Big
they're just
time.
like good homage. Actually, it was between that. They talked about that later. It was between that and them doing like a Judas Priest cover album. They were like, because they were like, those are the two ones, the two band or two styles that influenced Slayer the most. They ended up doing punk, but man, that Undisputed Attitude, just the aggression, and you could tell like where Slayer came from in them doing punk covers, because you're like,
Totally.
oh, this sounds like fucking Slayer without the like melodic like stuff in between. It's fully punk. Like it's just faster, like more
the point
precise
that
punk.
the point that Cameron's making is punk became just an attitude after a certain point, and then metal gave you something more to
Well,
explore.
I was gonna allude to how punk became like when Casey started talking about like the Offspring. He's like, well, that's like more pop, and the only difference between Offspring's hits or like a band that transitioned like Blink-182, like you listen to the first Blink-182 records, it's punk. But if you listen to later on when they got big, they're making more pop music, and they're not making some pop record like you would put on like some like legitimate pop music in the sense of like like I don't know what era to write to, but the main difference is not the only thing that's changed is the structuring, and I think it has to do with the repetition is structured in a way
and the
where
singing.
But they have like these key parts where like you could tell when they were writing it, they were like, oh, this is probably like a bridge, or like this is probably like a chorus. This sounds like, and they started to kind of like put these things together in these little boxes. And I think metal has the same thing in a lot of ways. I mean, metal's more experimental, so you can bend that a lot more. But
what we never have talked about on this podcast this whole time is like crust punk and like bands like Amoebix, like No Gods, No Masters and shit. Like
His Hero is Gone.
His Hero is Gone. Well, they're like fucking heavy and badass. But I mean, and so is Amoebix. But I mean, like the crossover of the crust like stuff, which is, I mean, Josh used to play, and our old friend.
Explain crust to people that haven't heard it before.
Or say what was their name? Sage.
Detrimental Greed was Josh's band that I'm thinking of.
What is crust to people that don't know what crust is?
Well,
that are
crust punk, like I think
25 and they've never heard of it.
I mean, there's even bands like what is it? Dystopia and all those kind of bands that like were
sick.
Or even like Phobia and shit.
It's
but like
punk really rides the lines of metal.
Like it's like metal that came from punk, like as opposed to metal that came from thrash. Metal. I guess I don't know like how to explain it, but like, or metal that came from grind or something. But like
I always think of crust punk as heavy grind. Like
or Carcass,
like
even.
The Carcass. Carcass is kind of like a dystopia, like all that.
But those bands came out of like
the grass.
Like a lot of them did come from the anarcho punk scene.
It's
like
Crass
Records and like Rudimentary Peni and Crass and bands like that and shit. Of course, the Subhumans and all that kind of shit. But into Amoebix and like even Phobia and bands like that, or all kinds of dude. And all that shit was down here. Like when I used to in high school,
Phobia, dude,
going to see it, Shea Cafe, Cattle Decapitation, and like Man is the Bastard from San Diego, like all bands like that, and
that's
and
crossing over to like
and
power
shit,
violence and shit. But I know what you're saying.
There's total like there's very many crossovers in that that kind of a punk scene into metal and stuff, and it's different than sure like the Bad Religion, Offspring, that kind of level. Like there's like different ways that it all crosses and different shit. But
Cameron, have you ever heard of Man is the Bastard?
No, I'm writing all these
dude.
bands down.
Please
Dude,
write it
check out-
down, dude,
yeah.
because I think that
They're sick.
I think that you'll be down, dude. It's Power Violence in the beginning of Power Violence, before they even knew what Power Violence was.
Punk did have
No-
early blast beats, by the way. what
No
Ian just did.
guitars.
DRI, right? DRI like supposedly have the first blast beat. Is like I mean, for like
Well, it's not even
aggressive
about
music.
blast beats. I think that
I know,
the
that's what
groove
Casey's
is
about.
what's gonna pull Cameron into Man is the Bastard.
Yeah,
No guitars, all heavy distorted bass
yeah, they're rad.
with a man-made joystick, weird noise maker that the guy literally just would play an Atari joystick, bro, and use it to make frequencies alongside a bass player and a drummer, all about fucking vegan, anti fucking establishment,
Yeah, it came from that anarcho punk shit.
dreadlocks, you know.
It's funny you brought up the vegan thing, because like a lot of we were talking about crust punk and Power Violence and grindcore. I'm like early Cal Decapitation
Oh yeah.
sounds a lot more like this stuff than
Oh yeah,
they like now they
Well,
sound like a death metal band.
like I'm
which is
saying, like,
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Totally.
I'm 40, you know, and like I grew up down here in San Diego, and like, you know, in the late 90s, we would go to shows at the Che Cafe UCSD campus, and I remember seeing like for the first time, who is this band? What are they called? Cattle Decapitation. Right after playing it, right after the Locust play. So the Locust play back in the day, you know, Dave Astor was on drums back then and shit, and like I think it was Gabe, the guitar player. Yeah, and he didn't he pass away, man? Like
I'm back.
I think he did.
back.
Yeah.
I'm back.
That's-
You said I missed you right. You said seeing
But
Cal
yeah.
Decapitation right after the
Yeah.
Locust.
Well, I think it was. I'm trying to remember. If I get the names wrong, I apologize. But I think it was that guitar player from the Locust, and then he did. I think he was playing guitar. He's playing like a Randy Rhoads or something, and then he like, okay, now it's Cattle Decapitation, and it's just him on guitar, and then like Travis on vocals, and he had like the long hair, like all crazy, and then like I think it was the same drummer. I'm trying to remember who was playing for what band at the time. Anyways, Dave Astor was playing for Cattle, the drummer, the original, and it was just like 90. I don't even know, 99, 2000, 98. I can't remember. It was like around there.
It says this is
And-
96 to 98.
Yeah, and it was like, I mean, yeah, it was early. I was in high school, so it could have been any time around then, 97, 98. But yeah, basically, and all of a sudden there's just like, and I remember like, there's just this guy like making noises in the mic all crazy. And he's got this, and I just prints around, and he's all insane. And it was Travis, and I was like, I don't even know, like, I didn't know any of those guys. And so I was just like, I just saw the Locust play, or maybe it was before the Locust. I can't remember the order, but it was like, and I remember the guitar player was playing out of the guitar amps and bass amps, like just everything out of just this guitar or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
And it was just like the crazy. We were just like, what is this? Like, this is insane, you know? So one of my first death metal experiences, really, to be honest, you know.
That's awesome.
They're sick, man. They've always been sick. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm waiting
yeah.
for that Strangulation demo.
Yeah,
that
dude.
he made.
Right. Him and Diego. And shit.
They've
That's
talked about it. They like posted about it, like them together. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
like-
shared that picture on our.
Yeah. That's
Isn't
right.
that-
That's
that's
right.
so fun, guys. That those types of things. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
Was
Unearth
that a
all the
cattle decap or a cattle decap
Yeah.
and disgorge kind
It's
of thing
Diego-
going on?
Cal Discord
Diego Sanchez on guitar and Travis on that
On
was
drums.
On drums.
And I don't know if he was who was singing.
He
or if
did.
he was
I don't
singing
think
or-
he did
remember.
vocals. I think he was just drumming.
Yeah,
Yeah, you found out
Damn.
about it later.
But either way, dude,
Yeah.
that's like, it's so that's like
Sick, man.
as an if you're gonna be an archaeologist in
Yeah.
the genre, that is
Right.
an uncovered gem. You know,
Isn't it
Yeah.
funny how old we're getting? Or we're like, dude, Jimi Hendrix, dude.
yeah, I
We
know.
need to fucking. We're turning into
Like
our
that guy
parents.
who like I saw
so
Jimi
much.
Hendrix. You're like, what?
You know, here's something I want to throw out, because
Yeah.
it reminds me of where we started off with how we're talking about skateboarding and how like these these early skaters had to really pioneer a lot of this stuff, and like the younger skaters are like they're all riding on the backs of whoever was before them, right? And we are kind of doing that as well, but I will say that we're not skating, so this isn't this like crazy physical dangerous activity we're talking about. So it's like
totally.
I really, we're like, oh, we're getting so old. It's like, man, like I'm not surprised that if in like 30 years we're doing the same shit, and we're talking, you know what I mean? We're still doing it.
We're not gonna have hip injuries and
So I'm gonna hold you to that when you're like, when 30 years later, you're like, oh man,
I had a thought about that.
Like, we're getting there now, but like, fuck up before.
Dude, when I was watching the game earlier, it was like, oh, there's Deion Sanders. He kept coming up in the thing, and I'm just like, man, dude, I remember him when I was like in, fucking elementary school. Like, it was a big thing.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, man, like, it's so funny because all the old dudes, like in football or whatever, they just like watch or they comment or they're on shows, and they're just like in the crowd, like, like watching their old,
That's kind of like what we're doing.
But when I was like thinking about like metal and stuff and our stuff, and I was like, no, like a lot of these dudes are like Cannibal, like they're out there still fucking like, still shred, like it's because they're not getting,
they're not measuring like how fast
like,
you're gonna go, how fast you can pick, and they're like, no, we're gonna get the next fastest picker in here.
But I mean, like, even that, like, I think bands can still shred until, like, even musicians, like the jazz guys, like 80-year-old fucking drummers just murdering it, like, on, it's like,
I watched an Alex Webster interview today, and I was like, damn, man, he's like all fully gray, like, and he's like, fuck yeah, this next album's got the like
still into it,
he's still into it, and I'm just like, damn, that's fucking sick. He's still got the same way he talks about his music. You can watch him like from now or 25 years ago. He'll still like this next album is gonna be, but he still has that same excitement in his eyes. You can see it. Like, it's like not even,
dude.
It's not something that's like,
I think
it's not measurable.
That's been my dream guest for this podcast for like since we started it.
I know.
Dude.
We'll get him. We haven't
We'd love to.
He said he was down in them Ghost.
Oh, that happens. Busy guy. It's all good, dude.
It's all good.
We'll figure it out.
I was gonna say, finding an 80-year-old like shredder at whatever they do, whether it be sewing or fucking this or that, like drumming, like you were saying, and seeing an 80-year-old drummer, that I think is more inspiring as you get older versus.
I just saw it last week, dude.
With Shakti. Yeah, gosh, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Going to like that experience that you just had, Joel, is something that would be so much more valuable to me than going to see the newest sick shredding band. Not, like, I understand that I would go to that show, have fun with the people, and enjoy the music, and be like, oh shit, this is impressive. These guys are playing it, but to see the dudes in their past their prime still murdering is
still like kind of in a prime, a different prime.
We say to society, to the norm past their prime, yet hey, I'm still in my prime. Not only am I in my prime, I'm actually still impressing you at times, like more than you have already.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, like my mom was like, oh, you're into death metal and stuff, and like fast drums and all these things. And I was like in high school, maybe right out of high school or in high school, and she's all, come check out Shakti, Zakir Hussain and John McLaughlin. And I was like, I like John McLaughlin on the the Saturday Night in San Francisco album a lot, so I'll go check it out. And I sit down, and next to me is a metalhead, and I'm 18, 17 years old, and it's it's East Indian music. It's like it's a guy with a tabla and a guitar player, and he's all, dude, this is the sickest fucking thing. He's got like metal shirt on, he's like super metal dude, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I'm kind of just like, I'm interested, I'll check it out, Mom.
Yeah.
Like she's like, you got to check this out if you're into like fast drums and guitar. And I was like, sure, I'll go check it out. And I walked out of there, and I'm like, I think that was the best show I've ever seen. Like, I was like they were just sitting Indian style the whole time, and they were just shredding. It was the most insane music I've ever seen. And and just seeing them they had their 50th anniversary 2 weeks ago, and I saw that, and it was like completely like they're just super decrepit and old, and they're just as fast. They still have their whole thing going, like they're doing like solos, like kind of the jazz kind of format where they're all taking their solos and stuff. And but like also with Eastern indie music, I was like, my brain was just trying to wrap around the whole like how they count, how they do. I was like completely blown away by that. And yeah, it's to see them at that age, at 75, 80 years old, and just fucking completely selling out everything instantly. And Josh Seitman hit me up. He's like, they played Austin for their last show on the tour. And he's like, I'm trying to buy a resale for like $300, and I cannot. There's no real resales. You cannot get them. It's like impossible.
What's
to
the
get
name
them.
of this group?
Shakti. It's
Shakti.
Yep.
Shakti. It's I think a good intro album would be Natural Elements.
Yeah, they released a new album for this tour, and it's fucking sick too. I listened to it too.
But Natural Elements is where I
just watch them live, or just watch a live video of them to get started, because like you need to see like how they're communicating together and
just sitting on a rug.
Oh, dude. And they'll like, and the singer will just be like along with the guitar player, and like it's fucking like Dream Theater's nothing compared to these guys. Like, these are the best musicians I've ever seen.
It's crazy shit. And I want to go back to Al Di Meola, not go back. I'm going back in my conversations before the pod, because I was here with Mike and we had a big blowout Al Di Meola session before I got on here, and he continues to keep showing me this mind-blowing shit, and it's the Rite of Strings, dude. The RITE of Strings. Al Di Meola with I can't come up with any names. I'm waiting for you guys to pull it up. Somebody's got to pull it up for me. He's with a violinist and a stand-up bassist. It fucking blew my mind, dude. I was open-mouthed before we started this podcast listening to this stuff, dude. And this is something that I want everybody to experience if they haven't yet. The Rite of Strings, dude. Al Di Meola with I have a dead cell phone, so I can't pull it up. Nobody's got it.
I've got so many tabs of homework pulled up. So much shit to listen to.
Either way, I said it right. The Rite of Strings, RITE.
Well, John McLaughlin, one thing I didn't know about John McLaughlin too, I'm just going back to Shakti because I'm a fucking drunk asshole. I didn't know he played on a lot of the famous Miles Davis albums. Like, he was the guitar player on a lot of the, I was like, oh, that's why he got famous. I had no idea he was on like a bunch of the most famous Miles Davis albums. I was like,
Mahavishnu, but
Mahavishnu's after. But that was like,
this guy's old.
Miles Davis?
He's old.
I hate him. Dead.
He's 81.
Oh shit. John McLaughlin is?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I just saw an 81-year-old man just shred most guitar players. Oh my god.
Dude. That's what I'm saying. It's like
I love that grandpa.
Yeah, back to the Cameron point though, because we were all bringing it back. We all went on a tangent with it, but yeah, it's like just do what you love and keep it going. If you can keep going with football, like your ACL gets torn, you're done. You can't really you're screwed. You can't like really create anything besides with a microphone. And like artists and musicians have microphones their whole lives. It's kind of
yeah, big time. It's funny because like that's kind of how I got into music originally. Was like, I play guitar and I liked music and I liked skateboarding and all that. And then I played football and they were like, you guys, you can't if you skateboard, you can't skateboard. Not that I was like ever good. I sucked. But I was like, okay, nice. I'll just play guitar because I can't get hurt playing guitar. And then I would like, I'd go snowboarding or skiing. I'd get hurt. I'm like, man, I'm getting hurt at doing everything except playing guitar. So I was like, I can get.
I thought you were going to say
chill with this.
You got hurt playing guitar.
No. I think surfing. I never got hurt surfing, but I moved to Nevada
Yeah.
That's actually similar to me. I had like friends that were pro surfers and pro skaters and stuff, and I'd go out and fucking like go fucking bring a surfboard out and just watch them just insanely shred, and I would just get hurt. And I'd be like, sick, dude. I need to find another avenue of
Yeah.
of things that got like signed and they're just like professional now. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. What you're doing. That's insane. Like,
Yeah.
they give me
I
a
think that,
big Doyle board. They'd be like, stand up on the Doyle board. Just like, and they'd just be like fucking cutting through waves and shit. And I'm like, cool, dude.
stand up on the Doyle
Guitars.
board. The Doyle board. I think touring is very difficult. I think touring is very exhausting.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of why I stopped DJing too. It's just because staying up late just fucks me up. You know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
going to bed like 3 or 4 in the morning randomly, like one day a
What-
week, and then if you travel on top of that, it's just like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
even when I
insane.
was 21, that shit was wrecking
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Being
So-
a DJ, like your crowd wants it to go till 2, 3 in the
And
morning.
it's crazy too, because like the after parties, when I got older, I got more into the after parties for like especially in Austin when I was living out there, because the scene there is really into that type of music. So people who are just fans of dance music will have like equipment at their house. So it's like you can go
Just
to
ready to
people's
go.
parties and you could like, it's literally like you plug in and you're playing for people
Plug and
all
play.
over again.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe though. It's like it's like a party, right? So people are, you're at a house, there's maybe like 20 people there or whatever. But to me, that's like the real shit. Like that's like where people discover people like and the, who are like in an echelon of like really, really being into the scene, right? And it's private. So people are like invited. So the people who are there are all in some type of echelon that is connected to the scene. And being in Austin, it was cool too, because that's where I was living. So like, it wasn't like this random, you're traveling to like Philadelphia and you're randomly there and like someone's like, you want to come to this after party? And you're like, yeah. It's like, it's not totally random. Like there's people, you're a part of that like echelon too. So it's like
Right,
you're
right.
like, who you're around and whatnot. So
we
that's
were
exhausting.
lucky.
But
We were lucky to have something similar to that with the odious and decrepit crowd back in the day. We had the house parties where there would be 30, 40 people in the
yeah,
house.
and the connections that get formed at that party, right?
Dude, I know that
know?
it's some of those are still with me today,
100%.
and I love that, and those are the memories that stick with us, dude. Like watching a guy get thrown through a window at the Thunderdome is something I'll never forget, dude. And it was before I played. Oh no, was that the Carnivorous night? Casey or Joel, you guys might be able to help me. Was it?
It was just one of the
thrown
fucking.
through the window. Was it the Sleep Terror night?
It's just one. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those Thunderdome party nights where we woke up and there was a fucking broken window and I was asleep under it, and I was like, "Sick, dude,
I
it's
don't
gonna
know.
be
I
fun."
think that was the Sleep Terror, Decrepit Birth, Carnivorous situation.
But like I think my main point I was getting at was like traveling and touring is like exhausting. You know what I mean? And these older bands like Cannibal on that shit, like those guys are probably so dialed into it. Like they're probably so
they know.
relaxed on the road, and because they're trying to maintain. But like, I don't know. I think that's the only exhausting physical part of music is if you are touring, and I don't have any plans to tour at all, really. Like I'm not thinking about it. So it's like my whole contribution here on out is like through just making music and just distributing said music. But also like what we're doing right now kind of has some similarities with what you would get out of like the after party experience, right? Where you're really connecting with people and like talking about certain ideas or maybe forming. I mean, it's not the same thing because like, this is like a public thing. We all know it's a public thing and we're not around each other. And even though we have our video cameras on and we're all like into it, and we're kind of used to like the video aspect. you're missing so many like subtle connections and just like the real connection you get from being around each other
If we were
physically
sitting with each
that's
other in
lost
one
in
room
this.
right now.
Yeah.
If
And so
all of us were sitting in one room right now, I think the dynamic would be even more supercharged, even though it's working
100%.
great right now. I think
100%.
that all of us would be on level 10 right now if we were in the same room.
Oh yeah. But I'm just kind of really saying too, like, you know, just making music and contributing music to the culture that we're all a fan of, and we've all been, you know, watching since whenever we got involved with it, and then we're all coming together and sharing it. But we're also like, you know, we share it, and that's when we're all like, oh, holy shit, like yada yada yada. But like us, what we're doing right now is you need to like, I think the perspective should also be acknowledged of how it is progressive and it is like a contribution to like the stuff we're all big fan of, and how we could do this for like a long time. You know what I mean? And it's important. You know, it's not the same as being, you know, 25 and being drunk at some after party on the road with, you know, a death metal band, right? But you could do this for a lot longer, and it's important.
Sustainable.
You know? Sustainable. You can
Yeah, yeah.
contribute on a sustainable thing. And like, how important is it to have people contribute, really? You know what I mean? And people who are like have gone to a place where like all of us have made contributions to death metal, right?
Right.
So it's like and here's another thing too, like any of us can get hit by a bus tomorrow and you're gone, right? So let's say one of us gets hit by a bus tomorrow, and like in 5 years we do this, whoever got hit by a bus, we're gonna miss them, and we're gonna miss we're gonna miss the contributions that they would be bringing if they were still there. So it's like,
that's deep perspective right there. Go ahead.
but it's the truth. But it's the truth. So it's like, you know, I just think it's important for people to like acknowledge that there's a lot of ways to contribute to the stuff that we love. And you know, the culture of metal is, in my opinion, like it's never been more interesting, and there's never been more like, I just think that the 2022s, or whatever this decade is, the 2020s, is going to be a sick decade for metal. I really do.
I think it is too, dude.
We're in the beginning. It's like, you know, look at 93 compared to 98. Like that's there's a lot of shit that happened in that time. I feel like that's going to be this decade.
You hit my sweet spot right there, dude. From 93 to 98, so much happened.
Yeah. Or compare 2002 to 2008. Like that's like radically different worlds.
So much.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be, I don't know. But yeah, there's my positivity.
Would you guys, if you guys had a switch, because I think a lot of the things we've bitched about as far as like being older and like not going to the record store and not doing anything, like I think a lot of it has to do with social media. So, and a lot of the easy connectivity with a lot of things, which is, you know, it's awesome because we can get all this cool music. It definitely devalues it. It makes it not as cool.
Yeah.
It makes it like just oh, there's been bands that have released albums. I'm like, so sick, dude. And I listen to it for a week, and I'm like, all right, next. You know, like when I was younger, I would just be like, dude, this is my album for the year. Like, I'm gonna listen to this all year long. Would you guys, if you guys had a button in front of you, would you guys press it if it was just getting rid of all social media with one button press, or no?
Oh shit.
It causes a lot of relationship issues. It causes a lot of things. There's a lot of things.
No,
that come from social media. There's a lot of positive things too. There's a lot of positive things though too. There's a lot of
positives. all the negatives you're talking
bands
about.
You've never heard of.
Dude,
you would never have heard of because of social media.
Social media is an inevitable type of thing. It's like the internet. You have to go back. You have to go further back and go, let's just get rid of the internet then.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's an inevitable evolution, and like I think it's more about like what like a lot of, I mean, I don't know all the like details and history of what happened, but like how ever the fuck this got set up to where artists just get paid shit for streams and like all these platforms. And I love streaming, but like why the fuck aren't musicians making any money from. That's bullshit. That makes no sense at all. Like the deals that these streaming companies have made with the labels and how that's all worked out is complete shit. And like that doesn't, I don't know how that, I don't know all the details of that, but I'm just saying that's
It's funny because with that, I've literally, I can't remember when I've like made this like verbal connection in my head, but music is like, it's basically free. And I acknowledge that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I just like, even on my Bandcamp, I was like, this is all free. Like everything's name your own price. Like I don't care. Like the whole idea of like making money from music, or like you could have like you didn't have to have a lot of fans, 10, 15 years ago to make decent money if you were getting your music supported, right? But now it's like you need either to have like certain aspects of it really on point, like with a merch type of thing, or you need like a fuck ton of people streaming your music all the time to like really see the financial side of it, but it's like I've kind of just like given up on it. Like I don't even care. Like it's like a total contribution. I look at it, but I'm right there with you. Like it's made it like cheaper. Like the whole experience in general, in a lot of ways, is like this. I'm having to get used to it in some ways too, like to like really adapt into like newer music and whatnot.
But like it shouldn't be like, I mean, it's like making money like with it isn't like the issue. Like I'm talking about like music being like, there's like a whole thing around that. Like I just think that like, okay, so like the technology, to say for movies and stuff, which has changed like to some degree, going to see movies and doing stuff, but movies still are successful like compared to albums, it seems like, unless you're Taylor Swift or some crazy, you know what I mean?
But they have a visual element though.
Yeah, no, that's true for sure. But I mean, like if you think of it really, like what it comes down to is like once like, so like the main medium of music became digital with CDs, right? Like in the 80s or the 90s, whatever, like late 80s. So like CDs, okay. So now you have a digital medium, like instead of analog and whatever before. And so then now like this can be like, it's digital before, like, well, they had computers, but before computers were like commonly like able to like upload that into an MP3 or a wave or whatever and like shared, and then it was like, okay, now it can do that. Now we have internet. Now that can be shared like globally. And that's when it got devalued really, because
Napster.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just the internet, like the ability to take these like digital like copies of this medium, which before was like vinyl, like that can only be bought, So like now it's like, okay, now it's like it can be shared for free because of the internet and like all this stuff, and it's like the way that the technology happened and like the way that the industry reacted to it and the deals they made and all the things that happened. There's like so much to it,
Right.
Like,
oh yeah.
And I don't know, like, again, I'm not an expert. Like I've seen little pieces of it, but it's like, it just got turned into a shit deal. And the companies, like the technology, or the companies that own all that streaming and own that technology, or all of the, all that stuff, like just completely made the worst deals. Like, I don't know.
I know Spotify, like the way Spotify works is, so I don't know how like the mechanical royalty aspect gets to like generated, right, or accounted for, but basically they take 20% of all their income off the top, and that's what Spotify makes. The rest of the 80% goes to all the people who are getting the streams, and the way they divide that all up is you get a percentage of whatever your percentage of. Like, let's say there was 100 people listen to Spotify all year, and that's all the money they made, and you had 2 listens of that 100, you get 2% of that 80%. So the more of a market share you have of people listening, the more of the money you're making. So that's how it's like the money is distributed. But so that's why it's like when someone's like, how much do you get paid per stream? It's like, well, it depends on how many streams there are annually, and then how much of that I contributed to. So it's like, theoretically, let's say you have 1,000 people who listen to your music on Spotify, and they're listening to your music on Spotify for like 15 years. In 15 more years, there's going to be a lot more people listening to music on Spotify than there was back then. So now you represent, even though you have the same number of people listening to your shit, you represent a smaller number of the market share, so you're getting paid less.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just like it's just interesting how
Yeah.
it's been shifting
But it's
around.
and it's also like labels or like people putting stuff out are gonna like do less or because like they'll straight up like tell us like, oh, we don't sell like we used to, like digital or like physical media, so we make a lot less, so we can only give, you know, so there's like less and less down the chain of like getting a nice recording done in the studio, which like that's real, like that's not digital. Like I got to go and pay this person like for their time in a actual real studio to actually record real music and then like get it put out all digitally. Like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
it's that disconnect from like the analog real world to the digital, like, and it's just like where it's at now. Like
Well, it used to
literally,
be like kind of what a brutal bliss is saying in the chat. It's kind of like used to be like you had to get someone's attention and get a analog thing or something to send to someone, and now it's just like,
Mhm.
oh, click it, oh, link, click it, listen to it, boom. You have to
Yeah.
get their ears to like get a package in the mail and just be like, all right,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is what they're looking at. All right, what's going on? And then like, and still like, I mean, we talk like, you know, Spotify. I mean, obviously they're ripping a bunch of artists off, but the thing is, like, were a lot of these artists that were kind of like, you know, hadn't made it or kind of like underground, were they making a bunch of money off the label? Like back then, they weren't making anything. They were making probably negative money back then. And I think they're kind of taking that same structure, just going like, whatever, you didn't make anything back then, so if you want to make money from us, that means that you get the publicity from us showing you the
Yeah.
music, and then you go on tour and you sell your merch and you sell your tickets, and that's how you do it. And it's kind of like the same record industry, kind of like just the whole, it's how it's been drawn out from the beginning, which is like the record industry takes the money and then you get paid shekels on top
Yeah.
of it, you know, a little bit. But
But
it's
it's
like I've never heard of a band like selling, you know, 50,000 albums and be like, dude, we all got paid like 5,000-10,000 each. I've never heard of that. I've never, like, it's always
yeah.
been like, you
No,
got
for
to
sure.
go sell your shit on the road no matter what, if there's Spotify or not. Like, you got to, like, they're taking the slice of the pie. They're taking, like what you were saying, Cameron, they're taking probably, you know, back in the day with CD sales, they were taking maybe, you maybe made 25 cents an album or maybe less, like back in like the Smashing Pumpkins days or something, you know, like, or like, you know, they had
What? Really?
yeah, something.
Damn.
It's ridiculous. It's like with the paying the
Yeah.
your
Well,
agents, paying the label, paying everyone. It's like you're getting like 25 cents to $1 per
But if
album
you're
you sell.
selling like 50 million albums, you know, you're like, okay,
that
well,
was like
Yeah, they're
50
making
but
like $500 million, and you're getting
but
like a
why were
million.
bands like Smashing Pumpkins selling 50 million albums like back in those times? Is because like also you had MTV and you had like
Yeah,
that was, I mean, that's like there's so many parts to it. Like it's hard to say, like basically it's dumb to just like look at one aspect and blame like one aspect completely. It's like it's a constant evolution of technology too. Like people used to just, all we had was TV, you know, like back then. And so you'd like watch TV and then you're like, oh, like channel 43, MTV, whatever, like you just put it on and then like we would just like watch that because that was the cool thing to watch. And then all of a sudden videos would come on. It's basically like advertisements, you know, like you're sitting
yeah.
there and you're just like, oh, this is cool though. And like,
That's why
go,
Spotify is
you know,
cool in a way. Is that, I mean,
yeah,
in a way, is that you don't have to get that press kit to the record label to have that all take place. You could just be like,
yeah,
oh, there's a uproar over a song that was posted, and then everyone starts liking it, and it's not like a label behind it going like, no, that you have to go through us first before the masses can hear it. You know, you could just go like,
that
boom, put it up there, and just be like, but that's the
that's what I
plus
kind of
side of,
like about it too, though.
yeah.
Like it just seems like, because that's like how I've never done anything through a label ever. I've never worked with a label on anything
So we could play
ever.
this live. We could play this on the on the pod, just not even get fucking
Well,
copyrighted?
probably. I mean, I have a distribution company. I don't know what.
Shit.
I know they come after people all the time.
Okay, yeah.
But
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah, you can still
yeah.
have stuff
But
copyrighted without. Yeah,
I like the labels in terms of like it's a collective, like, you know, when like labels, you know, rise and fall and whatnot, and they all compete with each other and they all have a sound that they're curating and whatnot. And there's just certain labels that I really like following, right? But like you don't really have to have that to reach people. And I've never, it just, you kind of have to just figure out how to reach certain people. And that, I was thinking about this when we're just like all talking, like, especially bringing up like MTV and stuff. And like, just thinking about like the real TikTok thing. And I don't like using TikTok, so I'm not on there or whatever, but it is kind of funny that like you can have this, it's like a randomized opportunity to kind of like go viral on some shit where like,
Yeah.
you know, obviously there's like, you know, there's some things that can you know be problematic with that, as we're all adjusting to how everybody discovers and consumes things, right? But it's just like it's just, and I was thinking about like the whole like going to studio and recording some analog and stuff. And because I don't do anything analog anymore. I do everything in the box. I used to have like analog gear and stuff. I mean, I have a guitar and I do vocals, but then I don't I don't even make, I haven't pressed records since 2019 just because it's expensive and it takes forever. And I probably could, right? But I don't really want to. Like, I mean, maybe I will, like, but I think you could do it retroactively too. Like, if something just has a lot of demand, you could like maybe do something. So I'm not saying, I'm basically saying that because, you know, whatever. But the main thing, which I'm thinking about, is just making shit and then just distributing it, which is
Yeah.
all digital. And
Yeah.
I just think it's you know, if I had to do the whole thing where it was like,
Talk to a
you know,
manager, get someone like involved, get them
yeah,
convinced that it's good enough to put out.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I have a manager I've been with forever, and I remember there was a minute like when I got the Brutal Machine back, I was like, should we like work with the label? He's like, I don't think you're gonna like it. Like,
Yeah. It's
he's
probably not
like,
worth it.
yeah, he's like, you change your mind all the time. Like, you're gonna want to do this and do that, and you know,
And you have reach on your own. Like you have like a reach. So it's like might as
and
well
for a long time.
I
Yeah.
feel responsible for the reach in this weird way where like I don't feel like I need to like charge the reach by like doing trendy things or doing more like types of content. I feel like it needs to be very authentic to where like I
Yeah.
am like exposed with like where I'm at with what I'm trying to do. Like last time we were on, I had the Buddha machine done, right? And I remember there was like a lot I didn't really want to like talk about because it wasn't out, right? And I'm
Mhm.
still kind of in that boat because I'm working on some new shit, right? That it's a little easier to talk about because I think the Brutal Machine kind of opens up some room for me to like talk more freely about stuff, with people kind of knowing where I'm coming from, possibly.
Yep.
But like, I feel like the closer I can get to where I'm living like my most authentic musical self online, really, and by online I mean it's just been distributed, you know, and I feel like that's what opens up the opportunities to do things like this, really, where you do like a podcast or you do some type of like media that's more around like this type of stuff, because I feel like this type of stuff is ultimately like more influential than I don't know, like maybe making a music video is cool, but like I don't know, you kind of got to do it all, but you got to be like authentic about it and kind of
Yeah.
like,
Right.
you know.
nah, man, dude, I love what you're saying, man. I feel like there's like he obviously huge advantages to what we have at our fingertips now with stuff. And I mean, dude, we do this podcast for that whole reason. Like, we don't make any money off it. We just do it for fun. Like, we'd love it. Like, you know.
It's a contribution to the culture.
Yeah, and it's the same
Yeah.
way. I mean,
Totally.
we keep
I
making
learn
music
from it too.
albums.
I learn. It's
Yeah,
fun.
totally.
Like it's like a fun, cool class I could take sometimes, you know.
I mean, we still make music and record
It's-
it, and like we're not like planning to, you know, we're like in our late 30s, 40, like just like we just want to keep writing music and be relevant and just have fun and contribute to the art scene in a sense of the metal art scene, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm just using that word as an analogy, but it's like, it's just making art. It's like, it just, you just want to like, if people watch it or people check it out, like that's enough, you know?
Yeah. But it's
and-
just like a spiritual experience to make something. And I think that the thing that you really need to, and this, I've thought differently about this. The thing that made me think differently about this was David Cho on Rogan one time when he was trying to teach these African kids to like paint, and they would paint shit and just throw it off a cliff, and he'd be like, "Whoa!" Like he'd be all like, "What the fuck? I need to have like a show with this stuff," and they were like, "Oh, we did it. We did it." And I get that, but like, this we're connected in this way where it's like, it's not just about making a great record and then keeping it on your fucking laptop. You have to get it out there, and to release it, to me, that's like completes the spiritual experience of the very beginning. And you need to go through that whole thing.
Yeah. And I feel like we like put up a lot of, you know, like barriers sometimes, like, oh, it's not good enough, like we just want to, I got to record this thing and make it like this perfect thing. But it's like, dude, this is like the art of the time of like what you're doing. Like, just, you know, just put it out and just be cool with it and move on to something else. Like, you know, like it just is what it is. Like at the time, you know, like,
oh
like,
yeah,
people sit on albums for years and stuff. And I'm always just like, dude, it's good enough. Just put it, you know, like it's art. Like just, it's done.
Yeah. And we're not all like John McLaughlin where we're trying to like make music for these, you know, early, like we're not supporting people who are really trying to like push stuff with their careers. Or like you're really contributing to like these big like labels back in the day. Like Capitol Records had that group of songwriters or session players that would play and write on everything. It's we're not really doing that. Like we're making death metal, and there is a I think to make good death metal, or to make good art too in general, you have to like just do it, and you're gonna make mistakes, and you're gonna make things that you're gonna strike out, you're gonna hit foul balls, right? You're gonna miss when you go up to bat. But I think the biggest thing is you just need to go up to bat, and you know, obviously the goal is to get on base, but it's like just that repetition of doing that is like kind of what your duty as someone who like recognizes that this is something that you are not just capable of but want to do. And it's like those two things together, it's like now you have to do it. If you're not doing it, you're like disservicing something that you're just not, you're not, you know, giving the world what you need to give it in a way. And that's how I feel about Disfiguring big time, is like I just want to, like I was saying, there's going to be some songs on the record next time where I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to put this shit out. Like this is such, not like it's awful, but it just like, I don't, it might ding and look embarrassing, but it's like
also like ear fatigue too. It's ear fatigue too. Like you've heard it so many times, you're like, I don't know if it's good anymore. I thought it was good, but I don't know what the masses will take from this. You know, like And what do you think about, actually, one question I have for you, because we're talking about, you know, like, you know, putting stuff out as yourself, or us putting out music, or people putting stuff out. As far as I know, it's the, you know, biggest band in the land right now, but a Sleep Token, a band that no one really knows for sure who they are, but they're immediately selling out arenas immediately. They're like, they sold at Wembley Stadium in 5 minutes.
Heard of them. It's so weird.
Oh, you haven't really?
Are they really selling out arenas?
Oh yeah, they sold Wembley Stadium or Wembley Arena in 5 minutes. They sold out their tour in about, I don't know.
Where's that at?
England.
Okay. Aren't they an English band?
They are.
Okay.
That's kind of one of those bands, Joel, like you were saying. I'm like, I don't want to listen to them. I don't know.
No, I remember
I like Sleep, but not, I don't, you know.
They released a song and I was like, whatever, I'll just listen to it. And I was like, it's like their number one song. It's called Summoning on Spotify. It's like got like, you know, it came out like 2 months ago. It's got like 60 million listens or whatever already. But I listened to it and I was like, all right, it's pretty cool. Like, and the vocals are fucking unique. Everything's cool. And at the very end, they end with like a funky thing, like a funky part of the song, and they just completely turn it around and end with the same like lyrics and stuff, but as a funk kind of like making love music part. And I'm like, whoa. And I was like, all right, you have my interest. I need to look more into your shit now. And yeah, they're just the singer guitar or singer dude plays keyboards. He writes pretty much like 80-90% of the music. But yeah, it's funk, it's R&B, it's jazz, it's metal, it's hip hop. It's like
It's funny.
all
It's
kinds of,
funny because I know it because they're super popular right now, and people like to talk about them. Like the commentaries is big on them. But when I first heard them, it was someone telling me to check them out, and it was one of their newer singles in the last year, right? From the new album. I don't know which one it was, but I remember checking it and be like, all right, it's cool. But it never like grabbed me to the point where I'm like, oh fuck,
every
I need to
song's
have like
completely kind of has a different vibe. So it's like it's weird. Like there's songs with them, I'll be like, all right, so you're this kind of person, I'll give you this song. Or you're this kind of, I'll give you this song. It's like
it makes me want to get into it more. Everything you're saying, I'm like, maybe
it's
I should
fucked up, dude.
check
It's
them out again.
actually it's kind of annoying how much people get into them, and I am into them too. And I'm like, I don't want to be into. I like want to like my old school like metal things. Like I don't want to like them because everyone's liking them, you know. Like, but I'm just like it's kind of undeniable. They're just gonna be the thing. And it's.
I mean,
like,
I do that. I do that sometimes. Like when an album comes
Yeah.
out, it's hella popular. I don't want to listen to it because everyone's
Yeah,
listening to it. I'm gonna wait.
But I caught it early before they like exploded. Like
So you're
like
open
a
to
week
it.
before. like someone showed it to me and I was like, they had like 300,000 listeners on Spotify, and then I checked 2 weeks later and it was like 3 million. And I was like,
they're
holy
at
shit.
2.3 right now.
Yeah.
But like, look, some of these related bands I know, like Make Them Suffer, I think it's a great band. Like, is that Tesseract's the #1 related band? I guess that makes
these guys
sense.
have no supposedly like. I mean, I've you can probably Google it and figure it out, and I have, but there's not like a 100% identity to who these guys are. They're like, let the music speak for itself. We don't want ego.
It's
stuff.
your new Slipknot, dude.
No, but the Slipknot
caves. Trying to find an unmasked picture.
Oh no, Corey.
Yeah.
Corey is just like, dude, they're the sickest band. But I see. He's like, I see what they're doing. We tried to do that when we were younger, but like they caved. You know, like most of these bands, like Ghost, they cave and they go like, oh hey, this is our identities now, and they're like supposedly trying to stick like. I'm like, I've like Googled like backstage changing like mask off or something. Like I want to see like they won't do it. They won't.
Hidden bathroom cam.
Yeah. It's like, dude. I mean, I thought my friend Sam was the drummer for a while from Veil of Maya. I was like, that's Sam drumming right there. And then I hit him up. He's like, no, I'm on tour right now. It's not me.
Dude, that's so funny. That's
but
so
like,
funny.
they're so talented. Like, they're so talented though. It's fucking crazy. Like,
man, I gotta get into it then because I like Tesseract a lot.
It reminds me actually, you know, one thing I like about your music is that there's a I was gonna say this earlier and you haven't even heard Sleep Tokens. That's very cool. But I thought like there's this kind of new kind of uprising of these kind of, like you said, it was like a bunch of different influences, but they aren't infiltrating each other, where you can tell that like, oh, this is the part where it's Slipknot. This is the part where I like black metal. This is the part where I like this. They like kind of like make it a big smooth song, and it's like it's an Opeth kind of thing, like taking you through a journey of like ups and downs, and then like and those all of a sudden just like drop into like a crazy hip hop part. You're like, and it's funny. There's like a million reaction videos of people like metalheads listen to it, and they're like, what the fuck? And like it's actually kind of sick, and everyone's just all like. And there's ones with hip hop dudes listening to it, and they're like, "This is fucking fire, dog." You know, like they're all like, you know, the dude like is sick.
You're saying for the new Disfiguring the Goddess?
No, I'm saying both. I'm saying like they have a lot of similarities.
I was like, dude, I want to see these reaction videos right now.
Man, I got to get into it for sure. Like, you know, like you, like everyone talking about it. I'm like I've heard clips. I know what they sound like.
Are you listening right now?
No, but I'm like, I gotta like.
I thought it was like some like some hipster bullshit. I was like, all right, well, it's like Def Haven or something. You know, I was like, it's another Def Haven style band, and I listened to it and like gave it a shot and was just like, all right, and then they just like hit me with a curveball, and I was like, ooh, that's a sick curveball though. I like a good curveball where it's like not something that's like trying to be pretentious or not pretentious, but like, oh, I'm into all these styles of music kind of thing. Like with you, it's kind of like smooth. Like it's a very smooth transition of all the things you're into in your band. And
Right.
like I got that from them immediately. I was like, oh, and I feel like that's fuck. Yeah, I could see you like blowing up on this kind of shit too.
Dude,
Like
I'm telling you, dude,
yeah.
the curveball that you're willing to accept and then it keeps coming. That's what the brutal machine is to me, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a comer.
every
funny.
curveball that comes, you're like, oh yeah, I wanted that curveball.
It's like I want to come.
Yeah, I want to come through a banana.
That's kind of like what I'm like. I mean, I don't like. I'm like I've said this a bunch in this podcast, but I'm all about like the contribution aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
And I really want to like keep pushing into this thing that I'm doing with Disfiguring, and I feel like bands like Sleep Token are kind of doing that also. I just feel like there's so much shit that's gonna happen in this
It's a
decade.
subgenre you guys are making. It's a completely different subgenre of like this like a bunch of different styles of music, but done correctly together. You know,
Blended
it's not
correctly.
Limp Bizkit going like, yeah. I mean, even though I was down, but when I was a kid,
We were
but
all down.
I'm
But
still
I'm
down.
just saying, except for Casey.
But it was like a rap. I didn't think of it as rap at the time as a kid. I was like, yeah, it's like a metal band with this guy talking more, kind of thing. I didn't think of it as like a mishmash of like it wasn't like Faith No More going like it was you know it didn't see like Faith No More seemed more separated of the styles, but they were together. Rage Against the Machine had that too. I mean, they had
big time.
it felt like it worked though, kind of, you know, with like Bulls on Parade and stuff. It's like, but there was a guy just straight up just getting down and rapping in the middle of a song. You're like, damn, it was like, you know, it basically felt like there was two separate styles in there. But like, if you can get those where people aren't even paying attention to that, they're just like, it seamlessly moves through.
That's me and Cameron's new project, dude. We're gonna come up with a way we can make hip hop and death metal work.
Yeah, I think he's gonna rap.
It's all like
a new thing. Yeah.
Well, we know that Cameron's very ready to blend styles to where it's not.
Yeah. Blending. The blending is like it's the like as in a painting, you could like do a straight line and make it look all like the you can make the fucking background look kind of like separate from the foreground, or you could just kind of blend it in, you know, like Bob Ross does. You know, you could stop laughing at me because Cameron even agreed with me. Fucking
no.
shit.
Bob Ross is awesome.
I'm laughing.
Yeah, Bob Ross.
I laugh plus, and I look over at Gilbert. He's not even paying attention, but he's sitting right next to me, and I'm looking for somebody to giggle with me over here, and he's just like, "I'm on my phone, dude." Sorry, go ahead, keep going. Bob Ross, dude.
So it's like taking a piss like on a turd. I'm just kidding. I forgot what I was talking about.
I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to cut you off on that. Bob Ross is actually mad respect. Bob Ross, dude. My first real legit artist like painting set was a Bob Ross set, dude. And I'll never ever forget that. But what were you gonna say about that? Sorry, dude.
No, I mean, we'll get back to like so Cameron, how like a technique for how so there's a bunch of people I listen to a bunch of prog metal bands where they're like they have Indian music involved, they have jazz, they have metal, they have death metal, they have all kinds of stuff. How do you seamlessly put different styles of music together as one? Like what's your technique for taking something that's like, you know, you're into 20 different styles, but you want to actually include all of them in the song?
I mean, so anything I can say is gonna be like a verbalization of what I'm more consciously aware of, right?
Yeah.
And there's obviously, I think, a lot of play with the subconscious when you're making stuff, especially by yourself, just because the way the flow is. Like,
Mhm.
when I make music, I'm like, my main goal is to catch the flow. So I will like, my systems are all around catching the flow, and things that basically, you know, put limitations on what I can do, which sounds funny because like, you know, everything I'm doing right now sounds really out of the box, but I feel like I'm doing it because I'm putting myself like in a box a lot of the times, so I'm not going too crazy with the flow. That is, I could be cohesive and capitalize on that moment. You know, if I'm in the flow for 2-3 hours, which is like probably the extent of your flow could last, I want to be like pretty much done with whatever it is I'm doing. But I would say, like with Disfiguring especially, I think about how the bass and the guitar and, you know, the core aspects of the drums, so like the kick and whatnot, which is kind of like one element, right? It's all kind of like one thing. Or like in techno, you could look at it as like the kick and the bass. Like that's like the fundamental of like every techno song, is that you know, relationship, and everything else is kind of like extra, like how the percussion comes in, or like how a synth comes in, or and then even how the kick and the bass, like you were talking about with painting, you know, things are in the foreground, the background, the contrast between when there's kick in the bass and when there's not, and how you bring that element in and how you remove it. So I think of like, you know, the bass, the guitar, and the kind of like the drums, I guess, as like one unit. But I really feel like the drums have the most attention, which is funny because on the Brutal Machine, I feel like I kind of mix the drums almost like a part of everything. There's not like really one element that kind of sticks out. The Brutal Machine has, every song has a different drum mix too. Like I'll use a different drum kit on different songs just because I think that's unique, you
That's
know?
cool. Yeah, everyone's like trying so hard not to do that, and you're just like, fuck it. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And I think about that with like, you know, when you listen to like a rap record or something, it's like 20 tracks, and maybe they're all using like 808 style drums. In this case, it'd be like a metal style drum, but like they're not all the same drums or samples the whole time. So I'm like fleshing through, you know, whatever drum kit sounds good. I even one time experimented with having 2 drum kits on the same song and just having them both like panned a little like this, like not totally left and right, but one kind of like over there and one kind of over there. And I eventually ditched it because it was I just feel like it was sonically not as it was, I don't know, but that was like a
That
random idea I was
could
kind of
seem
fucking with.
like it would pull things apart versus like pulling everything into a core mix.
Yeah,
That's a mix. You're wanting it, when you pan things, you still want them to blend together, and having two separate things going on. I mean, I've even heard albums where it's very hard to listen to two different rappers rapping two different verses over the same beat at the same time, panned on each ear.
yeah.
And tried to do that. It's so difficult, dude. I've had to, just out of curiosity, listen to each one headphone, but try to hear what they were trying to do together. And you're like, yeah, this is too complex for my brain to ever comprehend. So I gotta take pieces out and listen to them separately.
I think that's why I didn't go with it, because it was kind of like detracting from what I was just talking about before, with that's like the more cohesive element. But I would really like write it with the Brutal Machine specifically. I would write it where like, and I couldn't tell you if there was like a certain way I did it each time, like if there was like a workflow to like what I did first and what I did second. I think I just knew what I needed to be there, and if it wasn't already there, I could kind of like in my head know what it was and know what was going to be there. So I would really write a lot with like, you know, a synth or samples or a combination of the both. And then, you know, usually some drum beats or something. And the drum beats, I would sketch out like, you know, not just a drum beat, but like I would quickly sketch like a progression out of like a verse, a pre-chorus, a chorus, and then sometimes it's like your verse becomes the chorus type of thing. Like we really start working it. It's like, oh, that's, you know, you're moving things around really, really quickly. But the goal for me was always to get a lot down really quickly as well, and to not be like really attached to anything. I was more so just focused on being attached to the flow, but not the flow of the song, but the flow state that I was in.
Yeah.
And just trusting that kind of process and getting lost in it.
I
And
fucking love that, dude.
it's funny. I think I wrote a lot of those songs on Twitch back in 2021. And I need to go back and look. I haven't been on my Twitch account forever, but I know there's some people in my Discord that like were watching that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I was waiting for this song because I watched you make it on Twitch." And it'd be interesting for me to go back and watch to see like what was. And that was another thing too. I thought was weird too, is because I don't really like making music on Twitch because I feel like it fucks your flow state up. Like anything that distracts me from that subconscious whatever it is,
Yeah,
pisses me off. So it's like
no,
I'd like to. Go ahead, Anthony.
I was just gonna say, if you know, well, I show on this show, I don't give a fuck. But when you know that people are watching you do something,
yeah, the red light.
It immediately changes it.
Well, I think we've had a lot of discussions on this podcast, like about writing and creativity and the flow state, and on episodes I wasn't even on, like the Retaliators one with the Gear Brothers and writing a script and all. I watched most of that episode on the planes back from Japan and all that and all this. And like one thing I wanted to just add to all that in this conversation and adding those on and all that kind of stuff is I think like it's really interesting how like us as like little like, you know, that as Matt used to say from Decrepit, we're just like these meat sacks. Like humans are just like these spiritual meat sacks basically. And you know, but like the whole idea is like we have to like comfort our meat sacks in order to like be able to create and have like our brains comfortable. So like, you know, like it's like basically, you know, it's like sit down with a cup of tea and some nice, you know, or like, you know, like the temperature's just right. You know, you're in like a non-stressed out state. So like basically that's like when you're like the most free and open to like write a book or write a song or like whatever,
heroin
like,
or cocaine with like
well, there's that too. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, see, drugs
very quick.
Yeah. So of course drugs is like the easy way, you know, to get there. But the point is that like, yeah, like and it's I think that like when we're in that state of like stress or work or whatever, like that whatever stress kind of stuff is the opposite of that ability to like connect with that flow state or creativity or like being able to really channel that part of your brain, you know. And so like, you know, it could be anything from just slippers and tea to heroin. Like I don't know, like there's like one level and then there's like level 100, you know. But like people, and of course there's a couple downsides with doing, you know, hard drugs like that. But yeah, but the point is that like I don't know, like I feel like that's or like going in a jacuzzi and just chilling and you're like all these ideas come to you and you're like, God, man, you know, like you start figuring things out and stuff. It's just a crazy like difference.
Write them down, people.
For me, my biggest problem, and this is a weird old man, 39-year-old kind of thing that's happening to me lately, is that my best ideas come when I'm taking a piss. Just when I'm peeing, like I have clarity and I like, because I have like my mind's everywhere constantly. So I'm like, when I pee, it kind of like just all comes together, and I like will be like, oh, this is what I need to do next. And people say like when they sit down and they poop, they buy stuff or whatever. Like for me, I'll literally pee and I'll be like, oh Jesus, that's what the person I was just talking to was saying, and that's why that meant this to that. and I'll like put it all together when I'm peeing every time. And I'm like, this is a weird. I'm gonna start like researching this
You
because
pee for a long time, dude.
I mean,
I don't pee for a lot. I mean, like 20,
I don't.
20 seconds.
Insight happens.
I think all of us. Yeah, I think all of us have a different thing. I don't know about peeing for me so much that I come to realize, but that's great that works for you. I don't know, like
It just calms me. It's like that, that
Yeah.
release where you're just like, and you're
for
like,
sure,
and all of a sudden it kind of calms your brain. And all of a sudden I'll take all the information and be like, oh yeah, I need to make this change in life. It's like literally within, you have a 5-second dream. It can be 3 years in your dream. It's kind of like, that's my dream state. It's my piss state.
And then there could be
Anyways.
like a spark moment where I'm sure Cameron's had this, where you're standing in the grocery
Urinal.
store and you're fucking grabbing a pile of fucking apples, and you're like, I got to put these apples down because I got to write this note into my phone right now because I can't lose this idea. All of us have had that moment where you're like, this fell into my lap. I have to stop everything that I'm doing. I need to write it down so I'm going to remember it later and I can elaborate on it.
Yeah. I feel like another thing I'll add to all this, I agree with all this stuff, is that I don't feel like ideas are exclusive. Like, I feel like if you have this idea for something to do and you don't do it, chances are if you wait long enough, you'll see someone else do it.
Totally, dude.
Yeah,
That is super. No, for sure. It's all. I mean, there's only so many. We have a language. There's so many. It's just like, oh, like if you don't invent this, someone else is going to invent it. Or if you don't, yeah, exactly.
I golf, but I'm a shitty golfer. So when I lose balls, I fucking hate it. So I started buying Kirkland brand balls, and that's about $1 a ball, dude. And so,
I don't know about that one. That sounds very creative.
No, check it out. Let's get further into it.
To bring it back.
Let's get further into it. Let me get further into it real quick. So when you're out on the golf course, you got a guy who's gonna be all decked out in Titleist, dude. He's got his Titleist bag. He's got his Titleist sticks. He's got the hat, the shirt, the everything, dude. So I was like, I'm gonna start doing Kirkland brand shit, dude. I'm gonna start wearing a Kirkland shirt. I'm gonna hit Kirkland balls. I'm gonna fucking give me a patch. I'm gonna iron a Kirkland patch onto my shoes and make them Kirkland shoes.
Trail mix.
This is my whole ideal. And then all of a sudden, it's a fucking thing now. Everybody wears Kirkland as this joke, but I'm like,
that was mine.
I was gonna do it.
That was mine.
No, totally, man. I totally know what you're saying.
I know, yeah.
I totally understand.
Was it Titleist or in Titleist? I forget. What was the brand?
Titleist. Did I say in Titleist?
My parents never had the money.
Oh, that'd be great.
Your parents
in Titleist. It's all like rich people, like
yeah,
in Titleist. Like,
actually, you might be onto something right there.
I know, Joel, dude. Oh shit, you just
we might have a fucking little parody shirt in Titleist.
But if you don't make it now, someone else is gonna do it, and like,
dude, 2 months from now, if you don't do it, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
No, the point is
Titleist shirt.
Titleist, yeah.
But also, your brain does the thing that you're saying all the time, Anthony, where it's like, fuck, that's cool, blah blah. But if you were to take a risk on every fucking thing that you came up with in your brain, you'd be fucking flat broke. You'd have to like it's gambling with your thoughts. You have to like be like, all right, well, this is if you're like have an idea or something, you can't be like every idea that I have, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna put my life savings at it. It's like you have to really like you have to take those ideas and like be like, all right, well, this one I'm gonna do, and then you hit it. It's like I was talking to a dude that created the Santa Cruz skateboards and consolidated skateboards in Santa Cruz yesterday on watching my fiance play soccer. He's just sitting there going like, oh, what's up? And we just started talking. He was like, yeah, in the 70s, like I created consolidated skateboards. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like all my friends used to wear that when I was a kid. And we were like, he was like, in the 70s, like no one gave a shit. And he's also, what happened was how we got big was he just bought a bunch of World War II leftover bearings and then just came and brought them to the fucking Santa Cruz skateboards and consolidated. and they started using them. And then all of a sudden, skateboarding exploded in the 80s and 90s, and they just fucking made, it's like one of those, like, you have to be on the right pulse. But the thing is, if you were to like, no, dude, I think the shoelaces is where I'm going to put my money in too, because there's going to be 6 shoelaces. Yeah. So
bearings in the wheels were brought back over from where?
Yeah, I forget what fucking yeah, he was talking about the wheel. I fell too much in skateboarding, so I didn't really pay attention to what he was saying.
It would just be the bearings and the wheels that go onto the trucks.
Yeah. Well, Santa Cruz Skateboard's 50th anniversary is coming up this weekend. So like they're like the most old school skateboard company that there is. Because 50 years
I love
ago,
that skateboarding's been such a topic that we keep going back to in this. None of us ever were thinking about skateboarding, right?
I've done like one ollie, dude. I don't even know what we're talking about.
No, but it just was from the beginning. Skateboarding has been like a running
Southern
theme.
California, Northern California. yeah. It's got kind of. I mean,
Cali Death podcast.
I mean,
skateboarding.
What Cameron brought up was the same thing I've brought up a million times, of like the fucking
Adidas,
like the fucking the people jumping from like one rung to another. All of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden there's a 15-year-old in the X Games. It's like it's the same idea with music. People are pushing things. People start with your favorite band right now, like, and then they push it farther. But anyways, I pee a lot.
Casey, you were going to add something at one point. What was it?
Taking back so many levels. Where to what conversation now? I was focused on Anthony.
It was about this whole idea of having an idea and not executing, and then someone else executes on the same idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think like there's like a societal ether that like exists, like it's kind of like this, we're in this common ground, we're existing at this time, we're in this period, we're influenced by these similar genres of bands or whatever, and then like this idea is like inevitable, like it's like, okay, this could be like just like I'm the first person to catch this thing and be like a huge innovator, but like after a while, like if nobody really, or maybe some people caught it, they just didn't do anything with it, or they like thought of it or just whatever, but like somebody is going to turn, eventually that idea is going to become relevant and be necessary, like and created. Like it's like Metallica, for example. Like if Metallica hadn't existed, like some other band would have become big in that, like that style, and done that same thing or something, like I don't know. And it's like you can almost think of it as like I don't know, like almost like interdimensional perhaps, or like multi-dimensional.
Casey's got that.
But basically, like I think like I don't know, like or like multiple universes, but like there's like if you haven't done something, it can exist somewhere else, like someone else has done it, like,
oh dude,
and Anthony
on infinity, dude.
Yeah.
You guys know who Carl Jung is?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, why you guys hit me with the double
Can we mute Anthony for a while?
I actually
and Carl Jung in the same
he's in the middle of a conversation. Let's
Carl Jung had
this balls.
Let's not kill the fucking conversation.
He had this idea of you have your consciousness, you have your subconsciousness, and then there's the collective subconscious.
Oh yeah,
and those are the 3 layers of consciousness.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So like that collective subconscious, and his, what he was talking about was like kind of what you're talking about, where like everyone's kind of like synced on this weird thing that's, and he was saying too that, I don't know if he said this, but basically like genius is just your ability to connect more with that greater consciousness.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like you're not actually like coming up with these ideas or figuring it out on your own. You're just kind of like, for whatever reason, you're just more open to like pulling from it and being like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do now.
We look at as geniuses, most of them say that, like, the idea just came to me in a dream, or at this flow state moment, where go for it.
I think the hardest thing is like being a human, like in the society, like and being able to have enough time to be like a like a receiving like satellite to like those things that are coming in, because like a lot of us have to just work and whatever it is, or obligations, families, things, and like all that stuff throughout the day, that like
Veil.
you literally have to like block everything else out, like, and just focus on the thing you're doing to like make a living. And then like, so like there's like these like certain people that just are somehow in like academic or whatever career it is, or whatever, they're able to like have the time to just receive these things. And I think that's like, there's a lot of people that are like insanely talented and able to do that, but they just like work all the time, and they have to like, they're forced, like it's like you're getting paid, like you can't think outside this thing right now, like we're paying you right now, you're on the clock, or you're whatever it is, this is your time frame. So like then the day ends, then you have a certain little window at the end to like be creative and to do that, or you're tired or whatever, then life stress. But like, but it's like to
The
be like a
potential in
truly
so
creative
many-
person, like, you're just like this, like someone who just like, and I don't know why the person that pops into my mind when I think of this is Paul Masvidal, like, because it's just like whenever I was just like, hey, I'm going to Indonesia, and you're like, whoa, like it's like, it's just like he just travels and does these amazing. I feel like that guy is just like always like a satellite to like creativity.
Yeah,
and
he's
stuff
like
that.
born to be I mean, not born to be, but like he's created himself to be a satellite. And
Yeah,
that's
no, he's
all
worked hard for it, but yeah,
he's
he
worked
is a
hard for it.
genius
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. And so
Totally.
people that are like recognized geniuses, so like a person who isn't like, you're a dedicated artist, like the society has deemed you as like, we're going to pay you enough, and you don't need to like have an actual job, like, or a career, like you need to be just contributing to art and creativity, like that's, and so like you're just always like a receptacle to, because you don't have to like, I mean, everyone has life things and stuff to think about, but like if your endeavor is successful enough to where you don't have to like think about this like job or career that you do, full time, like then it's like it's very rare, to be able to do that, like in any country, probably, I mean, it seems really hard to be able to just be that person, but it's just in modern society, like it's so hard to just be able to be constantly creative and like allowed to be constantly creative, like it's like we're like
not like
forced
survivable.
not to be. Yeah, it's not survivable.
It's like a lot of people that make it really that make it nowadays, they have a little bit of everything you just said, plus they have the marketing aspect of getting themselves out there and getting them like on media nowadays. I'm just saying, like getting themselves on the social media and like doing all the marketing part while they're trying to be artistic, and that probably takes away a little bit too from that, because they're
That's
like
true.
focusing on like art.
100%.
Like, yeah, like I need to be like, we need to like make this work, but also like the art's suffering because you're trying to like, it's like there are a lot of people that are probably genius artists. There's like, well, they saw the writing on the wall, like, well, I'm not going to market myself. Well,
even touring is kind of a detraction from that, because you're just
yeah.
traveling and having to perform this thing, and like you're like, okay, like some people can ride on the road, but they can't, I mean, there's so many things, like, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but
definitely. No,
but like
100%.
if you got like a full-time career, like you can be creative, like, and it's fun on your, but it's like you got to just like be focused on work, like, I mean, unless you have a job where you just like don't have to, I don't know, it's hard to get out of that frame of mind and then go to creative frame of mind, like when you're in, there's like two different ways of thinking, like
survival, money, food, and then fun, hobby, creative.
It's like two different mind frames,
Yeah, I think anyone who's starting a business, like that's probably pretty similar. Like we're talking about like music and whatnot, but like if you're starting like your own business, like I think that requires a lot of creativity.
It does. That's a really good point.
That's
actually
very true.
No, 100%, dude. Absolutely.
Jesus, I didn't think about it like that.
Dude, when I had my business, I would stay up till like 2 a.m. almost every night just thinking of, and I would rewrite like drafts of like product or just policies and like shit that I wanted for my, like, dude, I was obsessed. Like I would stay up all night like working, and then like, yeah, dude.
But it's like
100%.
you were in the business of music too, so like
Exactly.
he's
So it
talking
was
about
like,
like it's like double down on you.
yeah,
Like, but as far as like someone like even doing like a construction or a business that wants to do drywall, like
yeah,
let's look at Kevin Fassard. We've had him on here before. Like getting a business to take off, you have to like think outside the box, but you're creative and you can do your art really well. I mean, that's it. That's his art. It's like killing drywall because drywall sucks, and also
building them
and also
biceps,
building
dude.
biceps that are like this big. But besides all that stuff, like I mean, getting your business together and like getting people to want to like go like, yes, I will go with you for my thing. I will go with you for my thing. It's like it's similar to starting a band and being like, I will buy your album. I'll buy your album. It's like
when it's your
it's very. I
identity
never
and
thought
like
of it like that.
your,
Yeah.
oh, dude, I mean, it's not quite as like fun, I guess, in a way, but it is almost like in a work way. But it's like, yeah, it's like that's your baby, like that's your,
Yeah.
that's your
And your work is precious to you.
Yeah.
You see the work you've done for this house, and you're like, that's sick, dude.
Speaking,
It's like I fucking killed this.
Almost 3 hours into this, I'm noticing your hat, Cameron. Is that a plug for a business that you're involved in outside of music?
It's a plug for my my real estate business.
I knew.
Nice. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
I put it together
There you go.
because even though we've been talking, there's still certain things about each other that we don't know. But I kind of put together that you were a realtor through pictures and other shit I can't remember. By
Says it on my website.
snooping your socials.
So Cameron, what are interest rates at right now in your area? What's
Should
the
I
down payment
move
if I'm
to
trying
Nevada
to get
right now?
Well, the interest rates are nationally systemic, so they're the same, but they're like 7.5.
7.5, yeah. So yeah, that's
nationally.
So if you okay, so let's say for our listeners out here that want to buy a house, because right now everyone renting sucks, right?
Yeah.
Because you're paying someone else's mortgage.
Own something.
Yeah. So what would you say, like, if you had like a $500,000 house? We're in California. Sorry, that's a funny joke. A $680,000, like fixer upper house. What would you think when you put $100,000 down on that motherfucker? What do you think or LA, right? Are you LA?
Nevada.
I live in
Nevada. Oh, Nevada. Oh, you're in the fucking prime spot. Okay.
So
I'm where everyone wants to move.
Yeah, no, yeah. I know. We have people moving there all the time. I've looked at Reno a few times. I really like I mean, not Sparks, and it's like around there, because I'm like, it's nice and there's fun things to do close, and
Sparks is fun, but I don't want to live there. I'll visit.
Well, you're gonna go to Rockland, dude. That's like fucking rich people area. But it's like we're not trying to swim in diamonds, dude. We're trying to swim in fucking anyways.
I want to swim in diamonds, dude. Who doesn't?
No, for let's say you put $100,000 down on a house right now, on a $700,000 house. What's your monthly payment?
Probably pretty high.
Yeah, right. It's insane right now. But the thing is, right now, so if you're buying houses right now, you buy them and then you basically cross your fingers for the interest rates to go down, and then you sell them, right? Because then the housing prices skyrocket.
$700,000 house. I'm going to put $100,000 down.
You marry your purchase price. You date your rate.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. So then when the interest rates drop, and then the housing prices will go up, and then you sell, and then you get something bigger. I was telling Anthony that earlier, but
were you telling me that?
Dude, you have cash right now, so you buy a house right now at the high.
Let's not talk about how much cash I got.
He's got like $90, dude.
Shut
straight
up.
change, dude.
Yeah, I got about 90.
So I don't know.
Times 10.
I mean, everything changes how long you want to like hold on to something. Like if you're gonna like be in something for like 10 plus years, it like almost doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Because everything changes all the time over the course of like these longer periods of time. But when you look at like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, that's when you got to be like, what am I doing? Like, but I don't know. I mean, right now, in Northern Nevada specifically, there's an inventory problem because when the recession happened, they stopped building. So for like 4 years, they didn't build anything.
Yeah.
So we're like, I think like 60,000 doors down in the entire region. So there's just nowhere to live. So and then the interest rates were really low, so everyone was buying everything. And then like there was literally like anytime something would pop on the market, like everyone would just like all these buyers were just throwing all these offers at it. Then the interest rates rose, buyers got scared, they all went to the sidelines, and then the purchase prices started to come down a little bit.
Yeah.
We thought they were gonna have to come down way more.
But they didn't.
Well, yeah, I was
They
expecting
came
them to
down a
come
little
down
bit,
more.
and then people
If
were
you
like,
have cash, you buy right now, right? You buy
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
people were like, fuck it, let's go and buy it. So people started buying it and drove the prices up. And the
Mhm.
reason for the prices up is because there's nowhere else to move. So low inventory, high demand. But when the builders are building like crazy right now, they actually have pretty good deals right now too. But when the interest rates come down, people don't want to sell their home because, like, you're talking like a $700,000 house. Let's say that monthly payment's like $5,000 a month,
Yeah.
right? It's
It
like
used to be $1 million for 5,000. Now it's 700 because the interest. Yeah.
But if you're like, let's say your home is whatever, you want to move somewhere else, but your payment is like $2,000 a month. You don't want to move because your payment's gonna like double if you move somewhere because so no one's selling their homes right now unless they have to for like some life event. So when the rates start coming down, the buyers are going to start driving the prices up before the sellers feel comfortable, exchanging their interest rate for something where the affordability is there, right? So it's going to be really weird when the rates come down. It's going to be crazy, especially here.
You think when I feel like when is like it's supposed to be expected, but I feel like not.
It's been a while, right?
For sure. No, it hasn't been a while, but it's been probably about a year.
So
but
what the fuck's when? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about like people go like, oh, when they come down. I'm like, they were 11 or 12% in the 80s. I don't think that they're just gonna like,
I was trying to cash in on that.
Yeah,
coming
but
down lower than they actually did.
no, you should buy right now. Dude.
No, I actually.
I'm just saying.
Revenue's still waiting,
and then make another $300,000 and then buy something sicker in like 4 or 5 years.
But
I
mean, maybe I should, dude. Maybe I should just sit low for a while.
Yeah, just wait till it goes up.
Buy a E-Series van and put my 3 kids and wife in it, and we'll just
buy a house and then
get a Winnebago.
Buy a house, and then because buy it like with
dude, 15 passenger van. Just like 2006 bloodletting.
Just imagine
everybody in there.
Imagine the therapy you have to pay for your kids later on for that.
Buy a bus and some cheap land in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I know. Actually, I'm building right now, just like with my fiance and stuff, and just building like under the specifications of permits. Just getting we're getting like sheds and we're making like an outdoor bar. We're doing a bunch of cool things. Sick. But the thing is, like, if we were to go, like more than the shed, go to 100 or 240 square foot shed, I'd be like, cool, dude. The state would be like, cool, dude. $20,000 because like, thank you. And that's like, it's like with the permits and stuff. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like fucking like, I don't even understand how people build. Like,
by the way, sorry to talk work with you.
Well, do you need to get it permitted to do it, or do you need to get it permitted to like sell it? Like
we have kind of her family land that we have we have a chunk of. So we're just like, we're in Santa Cruz, probably the most expensive place in the United States to live for the amount of income that comes in. It's in like the median, I think it's 1.2 million. I think the median right now. No, it's ridiculous. So like we have a little plot of land. So we're like, we have a little place to live already, like a nice place with beds and stuff like that. And then we're like, let's have our fucking we have beds.
You got beds.
It's only beds.
We got beds.
A bunch of
we sleep on the refrigerator. It's I'm just
place to sleep.
No, it's sick. It's got enough room. It's like 500 square feet, like living area. But then we're gonna want to have we have this big outdoor area. We're like, let's fucking put 2 like a he shed she shed thing you know, and then like
said, she said.
I don't know if that's what they call them, but like, and then we're building a deck and we're putting all these like lights up and we're doing all these things and like having like an outdoor bar with TVs and shit and just like we're gonna make this a fun fucking place to hang out. Like, you know,
You got to get those sheds permitted.
if they're over 120 square feet each. So I bought 2 of them and they have to be 18 inches apart from each other for it to be legal for them to be next to each other.
Who's checking
California.
to make sure it's legal?
That's, I mean, we bought them from a place called Tough Shed that they have to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's still like, you know, it was still a good chunk of change. If I wanted to put them together myself, fuck, I don't know if I want to do all that labor, and I'm
it's
pretty ignorant with it. So
it saves you on like if they actually did inspect it for some random reason, you just don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and then getting an electrician out there and like running power to it.
If you got to do any kind of shit like that.
I'm doing that right now. That's pretty fun. It's electricity is a trip, dude. Like all these trades, I've always been like a nerd in IT, going like, yeah, networking and servers and stuff, and like learning the trades and stuff. I'm like, holy shit, I understand why you guys get paid a lot.
For sure. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, trades are like just up there with IT, really. Like,
oh yeah, electricians and stuff. Yeah, like
electricians, plumbers, and
like pouring concrete, doing all the we're doing all that right now. It's like fucking.
Oh yeah,
it's a pain in the ass.
It's
like
not
if
easy,
it's already like a pre-built home, like buy it, dude. It's already done. You know, like
especially ones that are like built more recent because there's all these things you don't have to replace or like code things like asbestos and all kinds of shit needs to get ripped out and.
Yeah, there's so much.
The newer manufactured homes can be really fucking nice. I've seen
it for sure.
Shits.
The ADUs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even just like more like affordable housing stuff that I'll see that are newer because people will like buy land and then you could sell the land for more if you put a manufactured home on it.
You just bail.
Yeah. But like the newer ones are nice. I'm like, I mean, I don't know the longevity of it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what in 50 years or whatever, but
my last point I'll make on the subject is it's weird that the states make it harder to build. It's like you don't want people to build their own stuff. Okay, it's fine. Like it's like you want to buy all these permits and all these things. It's like, dude, do you want us to build here? Like it feels like they're kind of like, you know, could you pay the $50,000 to build? So you pay $50,000 and you have a flat area of land after you've given them money of like a permission slip to go like, can I build here? And then they're like, sure.
Yeah, you got to get approved and stuff. I mean, it's funny out here because people come out here from California all the time and either want to build or they want to buy something with some land. That's what they say, some land, and then they want ADUs on it and whatnot. And like, you know, so many different counties out here, and they all do it differently. So it's like I'm always directing people to the counties because I'm not like with like being a licensee. It's like you get an expert in this shit, but like if you start giving advice on other stuff,
no, you can get
like
fucked
financial stuff or like stuff to do anything else, it's like it makes you more liable because you're not.
You're like, I'm not giving legal advice right now.
You have to always be directing people to like you can be the source of the source.
Definitely.
Here's the number you need to call. You need to have a conversation with them, not ask me a question that I can ask them. It's like chopping it up for a while, and you'll form that relationship with that person at the county. So when you're doing your, I don't know, building your thing, it's crazy, and it's nuts too. Because like here, there's 4 counties that I mainly work in, and like, man, there's just so much shit to learn. Like I feel like I'm about to be like 5-6 years deep in this to be like,
how long have you been doing it?
A little over a year.
Okay.
But my dad is the broker.
Okay, nice.
So I basically like that's the reason I got into it. This is for the mentorship.
Yeah, you got a fucking free lesson on what to do
I've been working for Pops since 12, so I know what's up.
Yeah, I just ask him. I just shadow him everywhere he goes. He goes to the office, I go to the office. You know, he comes home, I come home. I ask him questions. You know, it's crazy. Like I moved here. I was going to be here for like a couple months, and I was moved back to Texas. And then I kind of saw what they were doing with like a new, more you know, in tune eye. And I was like, I'm gonna come work for you, you know.
Yeah.
And, like start to like learn about what this is all about, and it's really up my
Right.
style because it's like you do have your own business, you are doing your own business, you do everything is on you really, which is how it's always been with everything I've kind of done. So I dig it. I live in Genoa right now. They built this house and has multi-generational living in it. It's a bitchin' house.
What
Y'all
does
should.
that mean? Multi-generational.
It means there's
So there's like
basically like
100 people in the
no,
attic.
there's like 2 suites in it. Like you can have 2.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
because
you put
they
your
built it
parents
my
in.
grandpa in mind, and then he moved in and
Oh,
died.
that's
So
cool.
it's
That's
an
super
empty.
cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
he
so
moved in
that
and
was
passed
sick.
away. Oh fuck.
Yeah, he was here for a couple of years though. I was when I was in Texas, and then I came
Mhm.
back, and it's like I don't know. At first, I'm like, "Oh, this sucks," but then I'm like, "You know what? You're killing it right now. Like you're learning all this.
There it is,
It,
dude.
it's
That's
nice
that
to
positive. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, because I've been on my
Hammering,
own since
bro.
I was like I moved out at 19, but it wasn't. I was like on my own at like 21. I was like living with family down in California type of stuff. And then so I've been on my own since then. So it's like nice to be around family. And I've never like
Yeah.
lived locally. I've lived in Nevada twice since leaving Nevada, and both times were like maybe for a year at a time, maybe a year and a half at a time before I moved somewhere else. So it's like I don't even know where I want to live around here, which is funny because
Yeah.
I do real estate. So I'm all over the place. I kind of know all the areas now and where to live and stuff, but I kind of have an idea of it, which tells me like my time in this house is probably sooner than later. But at the same time, it's like the knowledge I get from just like being around my
Totally.
family, my
Catching
dad.
the energy of that place too a
Yeah,
little bit, you know?
I need to keep learning because my it's I'm leveraging the experience of you know the people who I'm working with, right?
Right.
So it's I come off like the value I bring is really high and I do a great job. But it's because I'm like in between calls or like emails, I'm like walking to my dad's, hey, what the hell is it? Like, you know, and then like
Yeah.
every like 2 months I go, how does anyone do this without like some type of teacher? And my dad goes, they just flounder around for years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
Figure it
damn,
out.
this
Yeah,
shit's
yeah.
difficult. Yeah.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
Yeah.
You have the dude to help you through all the shit. That's like
yeah,
walk you through all the like you have to make the mistakes he made. You don't have to do all the things. You know, like you get to go straight to the fucking the gold mine
you get
base. I mean, the
you get
multi-generational thing is huge, especially now in California and stuff. That's actually part of the reason why we stayed. Like
Right.
me and my fiance were kind of like building to kind of like build a spot where my mom can go or something later. You know,
yeah.
it's like because you know I'm getting old and she's getting older. It's like
You're
before
not
you.
getting old, dude.
Well, I
We're
mean,
not
but
even
the thing
40
is though,
yet, dude.
but
What
I'm
the
saying
fuck?
No,
When I
Joe's
you're
hear
getting old.
people
He's getting
before
old.
40
Joe's
say
getting
we're
very
missing what
old.
I'm
getting
saying. You're missing
old,
what I'm saying.
it
I'll wait for
fucking
you done. I'll wait for you
pisses
done.
me off
I'll
so
wait for you.
much,
I'll wait for you
dude.
done. Okay, so we're getting old, and I'm not worried about myself in that statement. I'm worried about my mother because I'm looking at the number of 39. That means my mother must be pretty old too, and she's probably gonna need
Mm.
help and care pretty soon. But like I feel like I'm 26, but I look at the number on the screen and it's 39. You know, it's like I'm getting that 40. You know, I'm 40.
I'm
So
calling my mom tomorrow, dude.
yeah, it's like it's you could lose a loved one any day at this age. It's basically like any time now. So it's you got to like think about taking care of your family. It's been one thing I've never really put any thought into either. I'm just like I
Yeah.
hope they have a good home to go to. Like it's like one of those things. And now I'm like we could
Yeah.
build for them to go in there and then like when and find our own spot or whatever to
And
like
be with you.
it's like it's that whole like empathetic feeling like fuck dude like you talk to one of your parents on the phone you're like ugh.
Empathy is a
old dog.
hard thing
Like,
for
you know.
people to feel, but it's
Yeah.
actually a very rewarding thing to feel if you know how to.
Oh no, I love it. Yeah.
If
I
you
mean,
know
I
how
just don't
to
want. I want
navigate
myself to
it.
be taken care of like that. I want, I want to be like, if if
Well,
and when I have a little one, I'm like, take care of me, motherfucker. Like Jesus, dude.
Ah, shit. Joel's trying to be a daddy.
Nah,
We're
really,
finally
though.
at the end of this
if
episode.
and when is the I don't think if is the question so much, but
When,
sounds
yeah.
like. But
He's watched me survive 3, and he's like, "All right, I can do it."
yeah, I think like with families and stuff and losing loved ones, like really just reinvigorates or just like the compassion for others who have struggles in life, and you're just like, man, life, like like I don't know, like I work with like not with Joel, but I work in IT stuff too, and like sometimes it's like sometimes people super stressed out, like it's crazy, and like boss comes on, he's always just like, dude, like life is fucking hard, man. Like you guys deserved like all the love you can get, like with just great job, because like like I don't know, just life can be fucking brutal for people,
Yeah, dude.
and like it's like to recognize that and just understand like everybody has like stuff to go through that's like super hard, and like it's like it shouldn't make you harder, it should make you more compassionate, like more like empathetic, sympathetic, understanding of like what other people go through, and like
Mhm.
and we all grow. Then dude, one day everything's like this, and all of a sudden when a parent passes or something, you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe it, dude, this person's been here my whole life and they're gone. It's like it just
Yeah.
changes, like it's just a growing experience, and like it's hard, but it's like a growing experience, and like a
And that's why I
compassionate,
think
like
that
yeah,
Cameron is trying to say that everything is gonna be okay.
yeah, exactly.
All of that,
Yeah.
through all of that, no matter what, as long as you're alive, you'll experience that, you'll move
Yeah.
on, and
Yes.
everything is gonna
Well,
be
everyone's
okay.
got their own shit, so it's basically
Yeah.
like you don't know
Well,
what
yeah.
everyone's going through. It's like
Oh,
it's like,
what? Okay, but I'm just gonna say that those people could figure out something that might tell them that everything is gonna be okay. And they might. I'm not saying they will. I said they might find something that will tell them that.
I need to start a cult and have Anthony go join.
I know, right?
Anthony's super
Brewing
cool
machine.
too. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
I actually, I think I could start a cult, guys.
I know you could. Yeah. Well,
At the end of this episode, you guys are giving me strength
Sandals.
and starting it. I'm finally gonna do it, dude.
It's a
No,
cult for
I'm
all
too
musicians
drunk to
who wear
actually
sandals on.
figure any of that out.
Yeah, we should probably do a little
3
wrap up.
hours and 15 minutes with Cameron
yeah.
Argon.
Speaking
tonight.
of cults,
pretty late.
yeah, probably should.
37 more to go.
Yeah, dude. All right, we'll see you in 39 episodes.
Dude, I won't
Yeah.
make it.
9 episodes.
I won't make it.
Or 29 or whatever the fuck it is.
But
Yeah, we
dude,
kill it though. That was good.
yeah,
fine.
dude,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I think we got to the heart of some things tonight.
I know, Jesus. We touched on real estate, our strings of
well,
hearts,
I think that
music,
Dying.
families,
going
family,
deep
yeah,
is
all
the
the things.
way.
Yeah.
Going deep is the running theme when we're talking about disfiguring the goddess, dude. You gotta go deep, dude.
Yeah,
You gotta
dude.
dive deep.
Hell
And
yeah.
although what's funny is that pull that up one more time. We're in Arizona, no, Nevada, right there. Is that Nevada?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love the
nice.
color scheme of the logo.
Is
though.
that anywhere near water?
It was like a little pond somewhere around there.
All right, so that's where it is. That's all the water themes are from the pond right near that. I almost wore that shirt tonight. I almost wore it again. It's my Holy Mountain shirt. I love it so much. The pit stains and the neck stains are starting to show on white shirts. Fuck that, dude. I love white shirts. Why the fuck does it stain?
That'd be the best ending. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Well,
That's not
Kara's like, fuck yeah,
Because
dude.
you-
I'm into it, dude.
Because you live
All
a
right.
dirty life.
Let's. I flubbed the plugs in the beginning. We didn't even. Did we say?
no, we're not doing
anything?
plugs.
All right, fuck it.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
shout out
Love you
Cali.
guys, dude. Got a lot of cool stuff coming, and then we didn't even say Battle Forge coffee. Oh, dude. Sorry, the Deeds of Flesh guys. I love you guys. I'm sorry.
It's so funny.
We don't even get paid for it. They don't even probably watch the shit. So I'm not even apologizing. Yeah.
Watch one of them was watching
Yes.
right now, like just waiting for you to.
No, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that group. But we got some cool
Battle
stuff.
Forge
You,
Coffee, the D's of Flesh guys.
yep. That's Deeds of Flesh. Coffee right there. Trading pieces, coffee.
Damn.
Inbreeding the the Poffergy coffee.
They're
dude.
really into coffee.
You should. You sound like you need some, dude. All right,
Oh,
let's
we need
wrap
some,
it up, dude. We did a lot tonight, and this is fun. I want a part 3. Cameron, you're always welcome back on the show, dude. Like for real.
Thanks. 39 more episodes, and my next album will be.
And nah, dude, it's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
15. I said we're gonna cut it in half. No. But this is really, really fucking awesome, dude. And
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for having me on. This is
For sure, man.
totally,
I was
dude.
stoked. Like once you've been on the first time, it's like okay, cool. But now when you come out and back again, it's like hell yeah.
Same vibe,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah. Dude.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Same bro
Yes.
down as it was before,
you.
dude.
For me, it was like real quick. I was in the beginning. I was kind of like I think we talked to this guy. I saw the name and I was like, and Anthony was like, listen to the music that he's put out, and I was like, did the whole ADD thing where I was like, no, I'm gonna be like all quick with it, and I just listened to the whole thing and was like, I can't wait for tonight after listening to that.
Yeah.
Everyone should listen to the new fucking album, dude. It's sick as fuck.
Disfiguring the Goddess, the Brutal Machine, dude. If you're listening to this and you trust us, just dive in. Dive in. The water reference is there. Dive in, dude. Just fucking get below that surface, dude. Go into the murky waters, dude, and you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Go below and just hold your breath until it's all
Until
over.
you can't anymore, and then alien
die, and it's all
submarines
weird.
take you up, and that's the atmosphere. All right. Cool stuff happening on the horizon. I'll be on. I'm not gonna do that. All right. Love you guys. I had a great time tonight. Let's wrap this up
already did.
and rock on.
Yes. I already did,
All
yeah.
Battle Forge
y'all.
coffee.
Battle Forge coffee,
Cali
motherfucker.
death.
Drink
Rockin'.
coffee.
Drink coffee.